A wee mo whip, 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 a wee mo whip,
There I am.
You're muted for the intro.
So that whole thing was ruined.
Gosh,
oh my god, my absolutely brilliant improv was just totally ruined. How dare you?
You guys should have heard that.
That was
special.
That was absolutely flawless. Elton John is crying right now, and he doesn't know why. And it's because I just absolutely nailed that.
We're not going to get better than that.
No, we just peaked. It's okay. Let's shut it down.
Shut it down.
For all those tuning in today, thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is podcast 4D.
Duly debated.
This
the
is
4D podcast.
The duly debated deep dives.
A new dimension.
That's right.
Of pop culture.
Today we have a really, really cool topic. We've been going through Disney movies. We're going to be talking about The Lion King, and I'm going to introduce your hosts for this evening. So in chair number 1, we have yours truly, Nathanael J. Levinson, the kitchen chemist himself.
I am not a lion. That's right.
In the second seat today, playing second fiddle, as he usually does, Liam Maxwell.
Story of my life.
I didn't know you could play the fiddle.
Story of my life. He's
Yeah,
very
decent
musically
fiddle
talented.
talent.
I can't sing quite like you.
My name is Greg Prinz, and I will be producing today. I've got some fun new sound bites. I'm going to kick it over to Nathanael to get this thing started.
Yeah, so continuing in our series of being very happy and then very sad, we've been watching Disney, the live-action remakes, which arguably started in 2016, I think, with Jungle Book. So we've been watching the OG and then the remake. And
That's right.
I'm not saying live-action remake because, well, this was not a live-action remake.
Yeah,
it was a remake, but it was not live-action at all. So we did Lion King. Which Lion King, I think, is one of my top 5 Disney animated movies of all time.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. And I'd never seen the remake because I saw it and I was like, why?
I actually didn't want to see it because I knew it would didn't ruin my childhood, but I knew I'd be severely disappointed because of how much I enjoyed the original.
I think the most disappointing thing to me is that it made $1 billion. And I'm just going to come out and say it. That movie is ugly. It's not a pretty movie. But before we jump in there, I thought it might be interesting to look at some of the marketing for the 2 different movies because they came out, quite a while apart. The Lion King one came out in 2019, I think.
That's correct.
2019.
Yeah.
That feels like so long ago, but it was only 4 years ago.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. That is like anything before 2020 just feels like an eternity ago.
It really does.
Sorry, if anybody saw my back behind Nathanael, I was fixing one of the cameras. So
and
we're
how
good to
about
go.
that
It's
back?
amateur hour, yeah.
He works
amateur
on
hour
it.
to check out my back.
Yeah.
I'll turn slightly in this chair. Sorry, let's go back to the professionals.
But anyways, I was like, marketing. Marketing's changed a lot over the years, and the original Lion King came out in 1997, which was like 80 years ago. So I figured, maybe I can dig up some old marketing material and compare it to what they had today. So I was able to find like a flyer, like a magazine advertisement.
Yeah,
what is a flyer?
Yeah, remember those?
Yeah, like a magazine advertisement.
Crazy.
And then I found just like a marketing copy of something for the 2019 Lion King. So I thought I'd read them both, and I could see kind of how different they feel.
This is exciting.
Lay it on us.
We bring material sometimes, folks.
And just to just to get us in the right mood, Greg, can you give me like a little like raggy background music so we know that know the time era, and then give me that voice filter.
You want the megaphone?
Yeah,
voice
the megaphone
filter?
voice filter.
I think. Yeah. Here we go.
Sorry. Bear with me. You want me to find?
Yeah. Something like a little
Hey, JC.
raggy. You know, something that sounds like it was in the, from 80 years ago.
Like they're handing out newspapers.
Yeah.
Extra.
Read all about it.
Give me a term to type in.
Ragtime.
Newsboy.
Newsies.
Newsies.
All right, boys.
All right, hit me with it. Perfect. All right, so this is, again, from the 1990s, 1,000 years ago. Greetings, youths of the future. Are you tired of having use your imagination to bring Shakespeare's Hamlet to life? Well, now, thanks to the magnificent mind of Sir Walter Disney, you no longer have to. Jump and jive on down to your local theater to witness the motion picture event of the decade, The Lion King. Experience the bombastic music of the savannah as depicted by Hans Zimmer. Twist and shout to the eclectic tunes of Sir Elton John. You'll laugh and cry along with these tremendously expressive safari animals. And hey, if drawing a lioness with seductive bedroom eyes is wrong, we don't want to be right. The Lion King, Hamlet with the lions.
That is so funny. People didn't say jive in 1997, I don't think. Was it intended to sound
or
super
youths,
old?
or youths?
No, this is what people talked like back in the 90s, 1,000 years ago. This is exactly what I don't know what you're talking
That's
about.
hilarious.
What are you implying here?
Math
I mean, it worked.
incredibly-
No,
I guess,
it was 10 billion years
troubling.
ago in 1997,
It's troubling.
Jive.
right? Okay, so now I need you to give me something.
Apparently, things are jiving.
Do you take
Let's bring
makeup
that
off?
back.
Yeah. So now I need you
bring
to.
jive
I need you to give me some like a little more aggressive. So this is the 2019 version. You'll see, and I need the music to kind of emphasize the tone is just completely different. You'll see how marketing has just changed.
Just play Korn.
In 100 years of marketing, how things have changed.
Yeah. Play like a Korn song. YouTube, don't copyright this time.
This is clearly done. This is clearly under fair use.
All right, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
I said aggressive, like heavy, like metal. No, this is wrong.
This is modern.
That can't be the vibe.
This is not the no. When I read this, you'll understand. This is not the vibe.
modern
I mean,
music.
I'm showing up to WWE Raw music.
Play the WWE Raw theme
Play
song.
the WWE Raw theme song. This is not your Greg. I said aggressive. What was that?
No marketing
That was I just
team
fell asleep.
was like, we need to make our marketing material to go to that music.
Well,
Guys,
no,
this is a
I
lot
guess
to lay on
I
me
guess they're
out of
just
nowhere.
trying to
Figure
like,
it out.
If you make someone fall asleep, then you can like subliminally.
All
Yeah.
right, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Bear with me.
We are.
We need 5 seconds.
We're bearing. We
sure
By
are.
5 seconds, I mean
We're
5
patient.
more seconds. Liam, take your bottle off the table, man. Be professional.
While he's pulling that up, I have a fun fact. Can I hit you
Yeah,
with a
hit
fun
me with
fact?
a
It's
fun
kind of
fact.
similar to the marketing material. The entire trailer to the Lion. This is half-assed research. The entire trailer to the original Lion King, was just the opening scene. It's the first time it's ever been done from Disney. I can't say I've seen it done since. It was like just an entire scene, no cut-ups, just circle
Just
of
the
life.
circle of life. Hey, if I saw that, I'd go see that
Yeah,
movie.
that would
for
sell
sure.
me. I think it's an interesting
You got me,
tactic.
Greg?
yeah, I mean,
All right.
you're set. If you're
All
ready
right.
to
Yeah,
ready to go.
hit me with it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, that'll do.
There we go. Sunday. Experience the thrills of Hamlet without all the nauseating details like emotion, drama, or feelings. Witness animals in hyper-realistic 3D. If you need animals to display emotional cues and actually appear sad when someone dies, you must be some kind of garbage nerd. Go back to your nerd basement while the cool kids watch the experience of a millennium. Our voice actors are so cool they read all their lines in a monotone because emotion is for losers like you. Watch The Lion King or else. So I think you can really like feel the kind of like the different vibes
Yeah.
they were going for in
Yeah.
the marketing. Yeah, I just think it's really interesting that you see like this big generational gap in how they're going to do.
Cut to $1 billion.
Yeah, it still made $1 billion. So apparently those aggressive
worked.
tactics really worked.
People,
Like,
audiences love to be yelled at and called losers.
Yeah,
and to go to their basements.
yeah, I think it clearly did the job.
It did the
I
job.
actually watched this movie in my basement.
Yeah,
Loser.
That's how you're supposed to.
Loser.
Technically, it was a garage.
by yourself. Too.
Yeah, by yourself.
With
I
two of
also
my
watched it by
friends.
myself
I wonder
with
who
Greg.
that could be.
But after watching that movie, we're no longer friends again. Like you made me watch that. It's just like okay. But I guess
this is
let's
how
talk.
I
All right,
watch
let's
the
talk about the
movie.
Lion King.
Let's talk about the movie.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's Hamlet with lions. I mean, that's kind of in a nutshell.
Well,
It's-
how about we do this? So how about Nathaniel? You tell us, like, you walk us through
Yeah,
the
yeah,
original
I'll walk you
Lion
through it, I'll walk you
King,
through it. So-
and then we'll kind of all give our thoughts on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
like,
So,
one at a time.
we open on the savannah. Beautiful. I mean, the animation in the original is just gorgeous. It's a
Yeah.
really, really beautiful movie.
So pretty.
Opens on the savannah, all the animals congregating to see. Nya, savannah. Here, I did some half-ass research on that as well.
Yes.
So I actually found the translation of the
Oh,
Zulu
yeah,
words.
you were
Are you ready?
trying
Ready?
to, yeah.
Ready? Okay. So here's that nya, savannah. So here's what that means. Here comes a lion, father. Oh yes, it's a lion. Here comes a lion, father. Oh yes, it's a lion. A lion we're going to conquer. A lion and a leopard come to this open place. So
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
What language is that?
that actually
Zulu,
makes
they
sense
use
to me.
Zulu.
That's actually what I
But
thought.
apparently,
I
so-
actually thought it was those words. When
yeah, you're like, it sounds like they're
So-
saying it's a lion.
That makes it more beautiful.
Yeah.
It does. So apparently all the character names are Swahili, just a different language. So not necessarily in the same geographical location.
No consistency.
Yeah.
insert language I don't understand.
Yeah. But
All right,
anyways,
so-
it
so-
opens in the savannah. All the animals are congregating to see the presentation of Simba, who is the son of Mufasa, who is the king of the Pride Lands, Pride Rock. And Simba has an uncle, Scar, who hates Mufasa and plots to get him killed, teaming up with the hyenas, who are Bingus, Dingus, and Tingus. It's like Shenzi,
It's Shinzi, Ed,
something, and Ed.
and
Ed.
Bonsai.
Bonsai, yeah. Shenzi,
Alright.
Bonsai, and Ed. And
Do
Ed
you
is
even
the
trivia?
dumb one. Yeah, do I even trivia? But long story short, Scar gets Simba to a ravine, and then they cause a wildebeest stampede that comes down, and the Mufasa goes to rescues him, and then is like climbing up the side of the ravine to get to safety. Scar jumps on him and yeets him, and so he gets trampled by wildebeest. And then
Big sad.
yeah, big sad, very very sad moment. Except in the remake where it was like a cat going, "Oh no, my father's dead. I am so sad, as you can see on my completely blank face.
Like the zoom in on the
Can you not see the emotion on my face? I am look. I am sad.
the zoom in though on the kitten, like when it was like, Dad, no.
Dad, no.
It's actually so dumb.
So bad. It's so
It's
bad.
actually
I think,
so dumb.
I think this is the first time where we're all in agreement. I don't know that there's gonna be much debate that the remake is just trash.
We have to.
but
We
we'll
have
get
to
there.
reel ourselves in here, guys, before we completely dumpster the
Yeah.
remake.
I want to say something
And
real quick though. I think we will disagree on some stuff.
Well, I think we'll disagree on some stuff, but I think
You
I
guys will
think
disagree with me.
There's
I think we'll
literally
all
no doubt in my mind that
agree.
we will find
I
something
think we'll all
to
agree
disagree
that
with
the
you on.
original animated one is superior to the remake.
oh, easily,
Yes.
yeah, easily.
Continue, Nathaniel.
So Scar's like, "Oh, you just killed Mufasa. Guess you better run and never come back." He did that. He literally did the. Although this obviously came out first. The Fast and Furious. You're gonna drive and you're gonna keep driving and never stop. And so he did. He kept driving and he never stopped. He ends up with. He basically runs across the desert, gets found by Timon and Pumbaa, who take him in, raise him. And then after he grows up, the Pride Lands have basically been ruined by Scar being king and letting the hyenas overhunt everything.
The high ends.
I will say the remake kind of explained that Mufasa basically had hunting quotas, whereas like we can't overhunt. We only take as much as we
Yeah,
need.
right.
And then this one was like, oh, they overhunt, and so all the flocks of prey animals have just moved on. In the original, somehow the water has also disappeared. I'm not sure how that one works. It's like
Circle of life.
the circle of life. Yeah,
touches the antelope.
the king touches the antelope. Well, hold on.
Oh,
I
wait a minute.
think that clip was from a different version. It's not the version I.
Interesting.
It's the Darth Sand version.
But anyways, he ends up growing up with Timon and Pumbaa, and he's like, I'm never going back. But then Nala, who's hunting for food, ends up fighting him, and they reconnect. And he kind of comes to this moment where he has to realize, like, no, I have a responsibility to be the king. And so he goes back, fights Scar, eats him off a cliff, and the hyenas eat him. And that's the end of the movie.
Brutal.
And then by doing that, when Scar dies, it suddenly magically rains and everything grows back.
Clearly.
It's the power of friendship,
Yeah.
I guess.
Power of destroying evil.
Yeah. And then it ends with Simba being king and Rafiki presenting their daughter.
Was it a daughter?
Yeah.
Okay.
They reveal that in Lion King 2. They don't actually reveal it in the end of
Gotcha.
that movie, but in Lion King 2, which is actually, it was a straight to DVD, but it's actually pretty good.
Oh, that's the one where it's the Romeo and Juliet.
yeah,
kind
it's
of
basically, it is. It's Romeo and Juliet,
Yeah.
100%. It's actually pretty good.
Correction.
But you just loaded up with Lion King sounds, didn't you?
I
I'm not banning.
have thematic sound.
Thematic sound.
bites this
Hey,
week, guys.
I'm-
All right, so that's the premise
that's
of
the
the
basic
Lion
premise.
King.
And the Lion King 2019, for the most part,
It's a
doesn't
shot-for-shot
change any of
remake.
this. Any of this.
Yeah.
The probably the major change it makes is that Scar is no longer like in charge of the hyenas. Now it's Shenzi is the leader of the hyenas, and Scar kind of kowtows to them, and it's just making an alliance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There are a couple other.
They
changes,
kind of
which
made
we'll-
Scar like way wimpier in the remake,
Even like visually, he's not as like villainous looking
right?
as he is in the original.
Well,
and that's obviously
it's-
because of animation. Obviously.
It's because the animated one had facial features.
Okay,
and he wasn't
again,
just
I need to
yes.
emphasize this: they're both animated.
That's going to be a through line.
They're both animated, but one looks good, and one is the Uncanny Valley and looks like trash.
All right, so before we get all to our obvious takes that we've kind of been letting seethe through this initial,
Can't contain it.
that we're not huge fans of the remake.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, all right. Let's get
This is. I feel like Liam's hot take is always like, "Yeah, the remake was good."
I like to like in the days following up to this, I listen to you guys make your takes, and I just kind of like lurk in the background, just waiting to unveil my takes, my real takes. I'll yes man you for a little bit, but then once it comes to podcast time, I'm gonna hit you with it.
All right, so let's do this. Nathaniel, why don't you give us your thoughts on the original? Just walk us through it. What parts do you like? What parts spoke to you?
the music
What makes
is-
it a good movie?
Yeah, the music is incredible. Just both the Elton John. When we rewatched it, I noticed even more that like the Hans Zimmer score is just outstanding.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Just outstanding, and all the Elton John music is also really good. So both the songs and the soundtrack are just excellent. Every single one. Not a one I didn't like. The story is very solid. The emotional beats I think hit, especially when Mufasa is dead and Simba is like nuzzling up to him, and that's devastating.
It's brutal.
And then, not gonna lie, Sexy Nala kind of gets you. And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are lions sexy all of a sudden?
How am I physically attracted
To a lion.
to this two-dimensional lion that once I see it in live action, I am no longer attracted?
This is
what's going
Because
on?
real
Beauty and the Beast.
This is the That's the thing is like real lions aren't
This is
sexy.
it's kind of the Beauty and the Beast take.
Yeah,
where
I don't
just
think
like
Beast is
Belle.
kinda
Nala's
sexy.
live action version was as good looking as she should have been.
right. Like why was
Like
live
Emma
action Nala
Watson.
not sexy? Like exactly.
Why didn't they get Emma Watson to play Nala in this?
That's what I was saying. Beyonce, really, guys?
You're doing a disservice to Beyonce. That Nala is not nearly sexy enough to be Beyonce. Like, come on, guys, let's be real. That Nala was not bae.
Yeah.
I can't lie. But also, it's a visually gorgeous movie. They do a lot, and when you translate it to live action, it was kind of the similar thing with The Little Mermaid, where there are a lot of moments that work in an animated film that just don't work in a quote live action setting, like in I Just Can't Wait to Be King, the Tower of Animals, and which is kind of like the Under the Sea, where it's just a bunch of random sea creatures swimming around. You're like, wait a minute, this is. He keeps saying like the bass play, the bass, and they're just fish swimming around. You're like, well, hold on a minute. I want to see. I think it would have been hysterical if they had. I'm getting a little off topic. If they had a live, like a realistic fish trying to play a trombone, I would have enjoyed
Yeah,
that
it would've
movie
been
more.
great.
That would have
Yeah,
been
it would've been
fantastic. But yeah, the point is like the live action remake. You lose. There are things you lose when you move from animation to, in this case, realistic animation, but functionally live action. You lose a lot, and one of the biggest things you lose is that animals don't really show emotion on their face, especially cats, right?
Especially cats. Are there animals that particularly show better emotion
dogs
than cats?
kind
Lemurs.
of. Dogs a little bit can kind of look like they're smiling,
But then they look like they're always smiling.
Right.
Can the dog,
but they can also
the dog
but
that looks like it's
dogs
smiling
can look,
ever
but I
look
think
not
dogs
happy?
can at least look happy and angry. I can't see like I don't know like a happy expression on a cat, right?
Yeah,
It's either
that's
neutral
fair.
or
Which is
angry.
terrible.
It's either neutral or angry, and so none of the emotional beats hit at all. And also, as we mentioned, the line delivery is just atrocious in the remake. The voice actors do an excellent job of portraying their characters in the original. I think just everything from soup to nuts, everything in the whole thing is just really solidly done. Excellent animation, good story, good voice acting, great character work, and really really solid music all around. So I think there's just everything they could have done. They did it right.
Yeah. I've spoken on one of the prior podcasts about how much I love Lion
Yeah,
King.
this is one of your favorites, right?
It's my favorite.
Tell us
My
about it.
take is, and I thought about this. I think it's the greatest animated movie ever.
Yeah,
I think
See, so that's a hot take where I might not agree with you, but I can see how you would make that take. Whereas some of your
Yeah.
other hot takes, I'm like, what have you been drinking before the podcast?
there's some substance to that hot take. I think I'm a sucker for
It's not that
music,
hot.
and like you
It's
mentioned,
like a mild take.
well, I looked up a list in my half-assed research, and it was like 18, so I threw that list away. But I'm a sucker for music, and to all your points you just made, Hans Zimmer is all time. Elton John's all time, so that's an easy.
Hans Zimmer
win-win.
is him, and Elton John is also him.
Is him, yeah. It's actually like hilariously like if you would just be like, all right, put like one for soundtrack, one for score, like you can pick whoever. Those two would be in the consideration.
I think Hans Zimmer easy. Hans Zimmer or John
Hans Zimmer,
Williams.
easy.
I think is your pick.
Yeah.
And then I also think like Elton John, Billy Joel, or Phil Collins
for
I
like
think,
Phil
for your
Collins.
soundtrack.
Right. But I mean I was just
Oh my
again.
gosh! Imagine if you got all three of them to work. That might be the best soundtrack that's ever been created. It might be so good it destroyed the entire universe.
Has Phil Collins and Elton John ever teamed up for a
collabed?
song? Because
I should look
boy,
that
that
up.
would be a wasted opportunity.
Right.
Phil
Man.
Collins is him.
Stay on target, guys.
Sorry. All right, continue.
I
I'm gonna
was
look that up, though.
again impressed by. It was not like a feel good movie for a lot of the points, like Mufasa's death, and then like I kind of interpreted it as like almost like a denial stance from Simba to be like, I'm done with this. Hakuna Matata, no worries. Just basically like ignorance is bliss, like totally like foregoing his previous life and totally forgetting about it until Nala comes back into his life. And then he's like, all right, I got to really face this darkness that is his uncle. All of that emotionally really hit. I remember being younger and like watching that movie and Mufasa's death like hitting me. Because, like, I think he, like I did, viewed my dad as, like, this superhero. And so, like, when he dies, that would, like, rattle you to your core. Because it's, like, I think there's a lot of, like, Simba, he's unstoppable, Mufasa. Like, no one will stop him. He literally will never die. Like, that's kind of how you view your dad when you're younger. And, like, you can see how that would just rattle you to your core. And so, like, I remember really, really, like, that hitting me when I was younger. And it hit me again. It's probably the only Disney movie I can think of that like would and has brought me to tears.
It's definitely one of the hardest hitting emotional moments because it is like you said especially because they do a good job establishing Mufasa as a very strong he just absolutely dumpsters the other hyenas.
Right.
So he is this super powerful,
He's James Earl
respected,
Jones.
good king. Yeah, he's James.
I
And
mean,
the voice,
goodness.
that voice,
Woof.
just absolutely carries it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. Are we getting into the live action takes?
Wait, we got to get Greg's take
Yeah,
on
okay.
the.
Or you want to go yours as an original?
Yeah, we do have a couple questions. We'll get to these questions in just a sec when we transition to live action
live
feedback
feedback.
and the in between. So my thoughts on the original. Yeah, obviously it's incredible. I don't know. I think as of now, I would probably put it over Sleeping Beauty and the Beast, which I said on our last cast that might take the number one spot because I really enjoyed it. It's close though. It's amazing. It definitely has some better source content to draw from. There's obviously the correlation to Hamlet. It's kind of like a mixture of Hamlet and Bambi, is what a lot of people are saying.
Bamblet.
Well, there's also arguably they completely stole
Kimba.
Kimba,
That's what Greg
Kimba
was
the White
talking about,
Lion.
yeah.
They arguably completely stole the design.
If anybody wants that, we can't get super into it because this is a very big. It's not necessarily even a conspiracy. It's just
a fact. No, it exists.
If you want to dig into it yourselves, look up Kimba the White Lion. This was a Japanese anime made well before The Lion King, and it is pretty much the same
It's
exact.
The Lion King.
It's The Lion King. So it's very troublesome when you think of Disney not admitting to giving them any credit. However, what are my thoughts on The Lion King? It's an incredible story. Like the main through lines of the story are about responsibility. Like that's the main thing that it's trying to hammer home is that you have Simba who, like you said, Liam, like he looks up to his father, kind of like a superhero figure, and he even sings the song, I can't wait to be king. He just like he's waiting for that because he thinks his dad is invincible, and then something changes, right? So he's put in multiple situations, right, with the hyenas one, and then when eventually his dad dies, and the second one, the stampede, where he makes poor decisions and there are consequences to his decisions. One of which is his dad dying. And he kind of gets gaslit a bit into being like, well, this is 100% your fault and nobody's going to understand. That he's like, oh, shoot, this is why I have to run. But there is an element to him staying away that is like, and he meets his buddies, that it's like, I'm reluctant to grow up because I've realized that becoming an adult, like you have responsibilities that have these results to your actions. And so there is this obvious kind of draw to the Hakuna Matata lifestyle. You're watching and you're like, this is kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of how I feel like hanging out with like friends like you guys when we're sitting here podcasting and we're like, there's not really like, this is just us kind of still being kids in a way, and living that lifestyle, and they're kind of the friends that don't want to grow up, and they're kind of convincing him, hey, like it's Hakuna Matata, it's not about thinking about responsibility or anything like that. The key to life is actually forgetting about all that stuff.
Right, and you get the impression that both of them, even Timon and Pumbaa themselves, are running away from their pasts. Timon doesn't really go into his backstory too much about why he's living on his own. Pumbaa, obviously, they do. Like, he just doesn't have any friends because he stinks, literally.
He's a smelly
boy.
dog.
Which, like, just jump in the water, my dude. There's water everywhere. Just take a bath once in a while. It's just not that hard. But you do get the feeling that they bonded over being ostracized likewise. And I think Lion King 1.5 actually like goes into more of that. And shows more of that, but I'm not super familiar with that. But both of them clearly ostracized, and so they join together and say, you know what, the only way for us to live and not be sad is to just say nothing else. Basically very nihilistic, like it doesn't matter. We're just going to live for the moment. Very hedonistic lifestyle. And Simba, who's absolutely devastated at the loss of his father, who he's convinced was his fault, and that he can't ever go back because even if he did, everyone would be like, bro, you killed the king, your dad, and our king. You can't, you have no place here anymore.
Right.
So for him, it's escapism of, I have nothing else. So I meet these two other people who are in a similar situation from me. So all we have is each other, and we just gotta, all we can do is live for the moment.
Right.
And then when Nala comes back into the story, that's when he realizes, oh, I do have responsibilities, and there's that big moment where he meets Rafiki and realizes, and I love that line from Mufasa's Ghost, where he's like, "You forgot me." He's like, "Well, what do you mean? I didn't forget you. I've thought about you every day." He's like, "No, you forgot me because you forgot who you are.
Right?
You're my son.
Beautiful.
You're the king. You have responsibility, and you have to live up to that. And when you don't, that's the same as you forgetting me."
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the whole thing. Like that's what in my opinion makes The Lion King such an amazing story, is because it rides very hard on responsibility. Right? You have Scar, who it's not about responsibility; it's about what he thinks he deserves. Right? It's the beginning. His life is not fair. Like it's not fair for me. It's a pity party for himself, and you could even kind of sympathize with it. Right?
Well, life's not fair.
Yeah,
right?
Objectively.
Right, and you can sympathize with his character. Pointing out these things, you can say, okay, well, yeah, like what are so Mufasa is born before you or after you, whatever the case is, and he has a son, and because he happens to have a son means that you now don't get your what he thinks
like
is
he would be
his
in line for the throne, but Simba's the direct line. But I think Scar in his dialogue also implies that the reason Mufasa is king is because he's just stronger. Like Scar would be king if he was actually strong, but he's scrawny.
Sure. Yeah.
So
okay.
because of that, Mufasa.
That's probably considering their lines. That's probably how they determine that stuff. But again, his point is never Mufasa's not doing a good job. I have all these ideas to
Right.
make the Pride Lands better. It's about me.
Yeah.
It's I need to fulfill this thing for myself.
Yep. And in a
And-
way, it kind of mirrors Simba because the whole I can't wait to be king is about Simba being like, I don't want to live by rules or anything. A king can do whatever he wants.
Right.
And so
And-
I want to be free. And Scar also. So they kind of have like parallel thought processes of I want to be on top and be free because Scar feels like he's not free under Mufasa's reign.
Mm-hmm.
And Simba feels like he's not free because he's, again, being a kid in his father's household. And so they're both like, if I'm king, then I'll get to do whatever I want.
And what I appreciate is that mentality, and we'll get into this more later. We've also got some more questions coming in. That mentality of do this and take it for your own because it's what you deserve is the through line and the main theme in so many modern movies and shows, and it's so
And it's why those
so
characters are
empty.
unlikable.
And in this example of it, you clearly have that parallel of Scar and Simba both wanting this for their own personal gain, right? Like when I'm king, I'll do whatever I want, kind of Simba, and Scar just always being upset that he never had the power that he wanted. But neither of them thinking about the responsibility that comes with that responsibility that literally leads Mufasa to die. I mean, it's his responsibility to maintain these lands, and when he saw his son in trouble, he put himself in danger's way because he has to bear that. And Simba sees that firsthand and is like, oh shoot, so you're saying if something goes wrong, I might have to kill myself, like I might have to sacrifice my life for somebody else. And he's not willing to do that until he matures. And once he matures, which is a longer process, right, because he doesn't have a father now, and for a lot of reasons, then he does understand that responsibility and he's willing to take it. And it doesn't mean that it's easy. Hakuna Matata will always be easier, right? That lifestyle, the songs are fun to sing. I mean, it looks fun. Like all that whole portion of the movie is great, and it's supposed to be. It's supposed to make you feel that kind of comfort when the three boys are laying out in the field and they're like, just had a big meal and they're just looking at the stars. Like, it's just, life is just chill. And he's like, I have to give this up actually to go put myself in danger's way, to go live a much harder lifestyle because it's what needs to happen and it's my responsibility.
Yeah. And that scene actually emphasized that, they're having a blast, they're having fun, they're doing whatever they want, which is what Simba wanted, remember? He got what he wanted, but then Simba kind of realizes that it's empty because they're looking up and I'm like, oh, what are all those things? And Timon's like, oh, they're fireflies. Pumbaa's like, accurately, oh, it's, burning balls of gas. It's like,
I love that scene so much. He actually nails it. He's like, no.
But both of them are just like, oh, they're just, things out there. But then Simba is, oh, it's our connection to the past. It's, it represents our responsibility to our ancestors are watching us. Like, we're not just out here doing this thing. There's actually people watching us and there's hopes and expectations that are on us. And, that's kind of the start of him realizing, this is fun, but ultimately it's not fulfilling.
Right.
And, it leads him into a place where he's basically, and again, Mufasa's ghost is like, you've forgotten who you are, the king. You're supposed to be the king. And because of that, you've lost your connection to me.
Me.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about that again? When he looks at his reflection, right? And he's like, look closer. And then it's suddenly Mufasa. And then the live action, you're like, it's a lion. It's a lion. Is it the same lion? Is it a different lion? I literally couldn't tell.
Yeah,
it looks the same.
Totally
So
Okay.
0 points. But anyways,
so I'll
wrap
finish
up.
off my thing. So anyways, for those reasons, I really love the emphasis on responsibility and that it's not easy. It's like what you said, Liam. Like, the movie isn't simple and easy for everybody. It's tough and it's a grind for Simba. He goes through some really tough stuff that we don't even go through, right? Like having to see your dad die in front of you, really intense, and to take up the kind of responsibility. But we can all sympathize with having to make a tougher decision because it's responsibly like what's right, and that it's an encouraging ultimate film, and that there is hope, like there is redemption for certain characters, and like that's great. Even Timon and Pumbaa are inspired by that.
Right.
And they're like, hey, we're willing to actually put ourselves in harm's way here because we love you. We're here for you. So for those reasons, all the reasons you said, the music is incredible. I would say the songs are even more bangers than I remember. They're excellent, and I still stand by the fact that I think the best music aren't even the songs. It's Hans Zimmer's scores in between. It's just incredible. I mean, it moves you, man, to hear it.
Oh man, I do like gives me chills. It is funny though watching it. I just keep thinking about the Super Nintendo game. It's like little MIDI versions of that, and it still slaps.
Yeah. I think a couple other points is like you can take something from that movie at any age. A couple of signs of like an all-time classic is that, and then also like you said about Scar, like a good villain is like someone that you can kind of like relate to like what they're trying to get at. But obviously they're carrying it out in like a horrific manner. Yeah. But like he's like, life's not fair. Dude, Simba's a punk.
Yeah,
Simba's a straight up punk at the beginning of the
Simba's terrible.
So like, wouldn't you be like kind of pissed if like some like little punk nosed kid came and is like singing "I Can't Wait to Be King" and you're just like watching him and you're like, you're literally only getting king because of your inheritance. Like
it's the perfect demonstration of a good villain, right? A good villain is somebody that you can understand with, but it's very clear that they are in the wrong. Which I think we struggled to do both of those things in modern day movies. It's either a complete idiot villain who you're like, well, this is just a moron. He's just like some white dude that he's just like, I hate all women or something, and you're like, all right, like that's a really well thought through like villain there. Or
nailed it.
Or it's somebody who they're like, let's make them sympathize with it, but then by the end of the movie is trying to get you to feel like the villain was just as worthy as the hero, and it's really a tragedy that he didn't get what he like. A modern day reenactment of Lion King, if they were to do it differently,
Scar would have been the good guy.
Yeah, it would have been about how. It would have been about how Scar is super depressed because this was taken from him and that he deserves this. Like, he actually deserves to be king, and it's this really oppressive land.
And society pushed him into all
so
this.
he has to take measures and has to start offing people. So he starts killing Mufasa and killing, but it's for the greater good. And like that would be the modern one. And it'd be like, well, you know, he's a villain, but he has got deeper.
And there would be a monologue by Simba at the end being like, actually, I think we all should appreciate
we all
Scar's
should learn
presence
something from Scar.
Let's learn something from Scar.
Okay, so let's get this
right.
Let's get this.
But let me linger on that point just for a second, because this is why villains are trash today, is because you understand. Scar is right that maybe it's not fair. You can argue about whether it's fair or not. Right, life's not fair. You know, maybe, and they don't give us the whole thing, but maybe there's something he deserved or had a right to that he didn't get, right? And then he's like, okay, so because of that, I'm going to kill Mufasa and bring in the hyenas and kind of ruin the kingdom. And so it's like the idea that the ends don't justify the means,
right?
And that's something that we've really lost, we can emphasize with Falcon and Winter Soldier, where this person is committing acts of terrorism, like blowing up places and killing people, and it's like, she was the good guy all along. It's like, no, it doesn't matter how noble her goal might have been. When the instant you start murdering people, innocent people, you are the bad guy. Period. End of story. Like, that we've lost this idea that evil is evil. It doesn't matter why you're doing the evil thing. Evil is evil. Period.
The direct reason why, like, the United States, for example, doesn't negotiate with terrorists isn't because like what they're demanding isn't too high, right? If they came in and said, hey, we're going to blow something up unless you give us X, even if it's like a very simple thing, like $1 million, the reason we don't negotiate with terrorists is because it invites more people to act that way. Because they say, when you want something, just go and threaten people, and we'll actually give it to you. Right. So even if it is $100, and they say, okay, we're going to give this crazy person $100 because they threatened somebody, and now give us that person back. Now everybody else is going, well, I want $100. Let's just go threaten somebody. And that's why it's a smart thing to do to say we just don't negotiate with terrorists, which means that if your idea or your thought ever leads you to say, well, now I need to go in these extreme measures to hurt people to get my point across, and the movie is telling you that they did the right thing, you know, like they brought attention to whatever cause because they went and hurt a bunch of people. It's like, no, that's the opposite. Like, if whatever your cause is, work really hard to bring it to the forefront and talk about it without violence and hurting people, because that's going to be the quickest way for people to turn away from your idea.
Yeah, I think it is a really good job to make villains, you understand why they're doing what they're doing. You understand what they want. And again, they could even have noble goals. But to also say that, but pursuing it in this manner is never correct.
Right.
Like there's a clear line where the instant you cross over this line, you are no longer the good guy. Mm-hmm. And Hollywood has gotten just so pathetically bad at that because, but they were, quote, oppressed or whatever it was.
What about their learned experience?
But their learned experience, but they're murdering people. Like, do those people's lives not mean anything to you? And the answer is no, they don't.
They mean less than the person's life who's doing it.
But let's talk about the live action. So we had questions.
Okay, so let's get to a few of these questions. So, viewer writes in, if I have never seen the remake, do I preserve the memory of the original movie
Yes.
and not watch it, or hate watching the remake?
Yes.
I would not watch the remake.
I
It's
would
not worth
never
watching
have
it.
watched the remake in my entire life unless I was doing a podcast.
Yep,
about
exactly.
it. I was
Exactly.
not. I had no plans to ever watch this remake.
I do not think there is a single worthwhile thing in the remake.
Yeah, I have to agree, especially this one. And we'll get into it. We'll talk about the mild differences and just the overall stink of this movie. But yeah,
rubbish,
I would say like
slime.
you seriously, like, you're not missing anything. Like
No.
there's nothing brought that it's not
Okay.
Like,
Here's how trash this movie is. The song "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" plays in broad daylight. That's all you need to know. Don't watch this movie.
all right.
Who's the viewer? We're not going to say their
This
name.
is it's Hope Cat. I don't know.
Hope Cat. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, Hope Cataba?
It might be Matea. If I had to
Hope
guess.
Cat is probably Hope Cataba, but
Oh, okay.
I know who that is.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. We got a
No,
question.
don't watch it.
Favorite quote.
Favorite quote
Oh,
from
I
the
have
movie.
it. I have it. I
man.
have it.
You have
I
it?
did some research.
I think the one that I say the most is just because I'm surrounded by idiots. I say that in everyday life.
It's really good. The one I wrote down is when they're on some rock formation. It's Mufasa and Simba, and he says, "It belongs to no one, but will be yours to protect." That was beautiful.
It's a good line.
I thought that was really good.
That is good.
Yeah.
I think mine is more of the comedy nature as well, and it's actually been said by one of our audience members. Geez, it's a lion. I love that part. I don't know why. I just
It's
think
not a
I think
lion.
it's-
It's a lion.
yeah, it's a lion.
Can we appreciate how good Timothy Lane's voice acting is?
Yeah.
He's so excellent.
He's almost as good as
amazing.
Billy Eichner.
Is that your hot take?
Anywho,
I will say my other favorite line is, "What do you want me to do? Dress a dragon, do the hula?" Which
That's
they
a great
didn't
one.
put in the remake.
And you
Trash.
knew
Don't
they
watch
would.
it.
Yeah,
You knew they weren't gonna- they weren't gonna put that
We'll
in
get to
there.
that point. Okay, so we got another question. If you could only change one thing about the remake, what would that one change be?
oh, I got a great one. I
think
was going to
it
bring
might-
this up. You want to go first?
Yeah, just because mine's
Go
gonna
ahead.
be quick. If you could just change one thing, would be to not make this movie.
But what if you? So
That makes
you actually have to change
That's
something.
a cop out.
Was that
Such a
yours?
cop-out answer.
Yours?
No. I have a good one that I was going to bring up as another topic. Have you guys ever seen the movie Homeward Bound?
Oh my gosh!
maybe.
I thank you Thank you, Liam.
My take
you.
was
Yes.
I actually think they should have.
This is
Did you
amazing.
really?
This is amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it would have been better if they
Yes.
didn't even attempt to make them mouth words and just like had them just like be animals, and then the voice acting was
I
going
know
on in
what
the
you're saying.
background.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring the audience up to speed. Just really brief synopsis of Homeward Bound is about two dogs and a cat that are owned by a family.
I
And
think
they
I have
all-
seen this
They all
movie.
escape their home. This is back in the '90s, mid '90s, and the filming like it's just live action. Like these are real people, and it's two real dogs and a real cat, and like they don't move their mouths or anything.
Never.
It's just a voiceover when they're talking to each other, and these dogs are like wandering around. And that's the movie, and it was amazing.
It was
It's an
amazing.
I think I have watched
movie.
it.
And the emotional like hits work
Okay,
in
so
that one
here's
too.
the problem with that. Is your voice actors would actually have to show emotion in their voice, which,
That's
as we
correct.
discussed, they literally are delivering lines like this. Now, for James Earl Jones, dude's 1,000 years old. He just sounds like he has no energy, which is perfectly fair for a guy who's 10 billion years old, right? So I don't blame, but everyone else, there's no right for you to be like, yes, father died. I am so sad.
Is it fair to say that maybe the fact that they were trying to like make it look realistic, like box the voice actors in a bit?
It shouldn't, because the animation and the voice acting are done in completely separate boxes.
Yeah, but
Generally speaking,
okay.
the voice acting is done before the animation. So they come in and they record their lines, and then the animators will animate to the lines.
Okay, that makes sense.
So no, it's 100% the voice actor's fault.
Oh, well, let's do this real quick before we get into what would we change. Let's talk about the live action I assume this will go in a very downward trajectory, and then afterwards we can talk about a potential change that we think might have helped salvage. So
I mean,
yes, Nathaniel, tell us about the live action. Why
I don't have
you didn't
too
like it.
much
Why
to
didn't you like
say.
it?
Just the visuals are just like when zoomed out, it looks good, but it looks like a Nat Geo Safari video
At its best.
Yeah, at its best. But it's like, generic safari, savannah, jungle, whatever, animals jumping around, looks fine. The instant the animals have to portray emotion, which they have to do a lot in this movie, it's shambles. It just absolutely falls apart. Again, this is to me the biggest scene, the biggest emotional beat in the movie is when Mufasa dies and Simba is devastated. Look at that cat and tell me how devastated he is. Literally just like a cat next to another cat. Just nothing. Just nothing. And it completely defangs the entire movie.
And this was one of the consistent through problems of this entire movie because there weren't, and hold on, I got
Who said anything about humans?
there weren't any humans in this. There's no human representation. So it is essentially another animated movie, but they're trying to make them look so they had this huge problem of, well, they're either going to really look like animals, we're going to do an amazing job, and then they're going to have no emotion, or they're going to look kind of bad, and then maybe they'll have a little emotion. And you ended up getting both. There was never emotion, and the voice acting was just horrible.
Was just horrible.
There's no excuse for it because you can make it more animated and just force the animators to have to build in a little more emotion, or even just, I don't know. I felt like the only person that occasionally had a few lines where he tried was Zazu in a few scenes. But other than that, the biggest points of the movie, Mufasa's death. He's just sitting there. He's like, it looks like a cat. I mean, like a real life cat. Imagine a real life cat going like meow, meow, meow.
Oh no, that cat is devastated.
Yeah, and the cat is just saying words, and it just really is abrasive after watching such a good animated one.
Yeah, I mean, you see like you see like the look of horror on Simba's face and the tears rolling down his eyes, and it really hits you emotionally. Like it's not just the voice actor does a good job, but it's not just the voice. Right? It's not like an audiobook. You visually see it, you feel it, and then you're looking at this cat that's just like, oh no, my father's dead. And you're like, what the hell is this, man? What am I supposed to be getting out of this?
So other than the obvious, because that like there's not much more to say about it.
There's
like,
really not.
The animation.
So what did they change? So here are the few things they changed, and you can
You can
jump in.
my take real quick.
Yeah.
This is maybe my naive take.
Your naive take. Give it to us.
I like the visuals. I thought they were fine.
But when you say visuals,
but
do you mean like how the overall like
how the
scenery
overall
looked,
movie
or are you saying
looked?
like the individual like you liked looking at those animals?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was well done.
I thought the wide shots were fine.
I thought
and
the
looked pretty good.
I thought every
a lot
scene
of
I was
close-up
like, oh,
shots were
okay,
like,
this is fun to watch.
Let me ask you this. So do you think that, like, you obviously don't think that the voice acting was amazing?
I liked certain voice acting. I hated other voice acting.
Who did you like? Who did you hate?
Billy Eichner as Timon.
You liked it?
I liked it.
You really?
Yeah, I actually
thought that
enjoyed
was
it.
atrocious.
I actually enjoyed it.
That is the hot take.
Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, I thought was fine. Who is the adult? Beyonce. Who was the adult? Oh, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover I thought did fine.
I thought it was fine.
Guys,
I would say overall,
no,
actually,
you're wrong on all.
I would say overall
I
the
thought
voice
Donald
acting
Glover
was
fine.
not
Donald
bad.
Glover and Beyonce were okay.
My main
But 90% of the voice acting was atrocious.
My main qualms with the voice acting was the hyenas. Actually, I
hyenas
thought they
were
were
bad,
really
too.
bad, and they also just took me out of it because like it's Eric Andre and Keegan Michael Key, and I'm like, I can't not imagine this is like an Eric Andre skit or something. So that took me out very quickly. But that was like my only qualms with the voice acting, and visually, again. There was not a single scene where I was like, oh man, this
But
does
you
not
have
look
to
good.
like voice acting is not just like recognizing who is speaking the words. It's not like there is an audiobook where somebody's reading through a book and you get to choose the different actors who read the book. And you're like, oh, I like this person better because I just like the way their voice sounds.
Are you mansplaining to me about voice
I'm
acting? I know what
100%.
voice acting is.
Voice
I'm
acting
aware.
is
I've
actually
seen voice
putting
acting.
in effort to expressing emotions when you're not on camera.
I thought they were boxed in by the moving mouths of these animals. I thought they did as best as they could with the
The
the structure of this movie.
I don't know if you heard Nathaniel mansplain to you how that works, but that doesn't box them in. I mean, they are still able to.
Who knows? Maybe this
sorry,
production was
that
different.
does not let them off the hook. It was an abomination of a job. None of them did anything. Not one.
Yeah, the voice actors did a terrible job.
Not one voice actor had a moment. I mean, we could.
Okay.
We
I'm
could
entitled to my opinion, and I thought they did a good job.
Okay, let me push back on the Billy Eichner thing, 'cause this was something that bothered me. So, in the original, Timothy Lane plays Timon. Now, Timothy Lane is gay, so they obviously had to recast a gay person to play the voice. Timon's not gay, as far as we know. Like Timon's just Timon, right? That we know. But Timon's just Timon. I'm pretty sure in the later ones he does like have a girlfriend or something. In some of the in like 1.5 or because Timon does get his own.
Are those canon?
Disney canon is just completely just no idea. But Billy Eichner played him as like the gayest possible meerkat you could imagine, which was really annoying. It was like the most annoying, most stereotypical gay person you could possibly imagine as a meerkat, and it was just obnoxious.
But that's Billy Eichner. It's not like he was playing any
right.
role.
But see, that's the thing. Like Timothy Lane was playing a character. Billy Eichner was just being Billy Eichner. That's the difference in the voice acting.
Sure.
That's the difference.
And I like Billy Eichner in small doses.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was not a very small dose. Also, Timothy Lane's lines were hilarious. Billy Eichner's lines were just garbage. Like all of his jokes were bad. Well, so that was
I appreciated the banter.
So that was one thing they changed was Shenzi was in charge of the hyenas, and Scar was basically just making an alliance with them, and they were clearly in charge the whole time. They were like, "We'll kill you, Scar," and Scar's like, "No, please don't kill me." So Scar was like really wimpy in this one. And the other thing they changed was, and this was really weird, because it kind of didn't affect anything, is Timon and Pumbaa have like a whole squad of other outcast animals that don't have any lines, that just show up to eat bugs with them and then vanish off the face of the planet.
I liked it.
You liked that?
Yeah,
I was like, what is this adding? They're there and then they don't show up to come help retake the Pride Lands. What are they doing? They're just there.
It was fun. It painted a broader world.
I don't think it was.
The jungle.
I disagree. Also,
I still can't even focus now thinking that Liam thought the voice acting was good. It
also,
took me off.
They go through
hold on.
Also,
You're putting words in my mouth.
Completely ruin a point. So when Timon and Pumbaa save Zazu from the hyenas, basically the
birdie
who's the
boy
pig, right? And he's like, the pig. Uh-oh, now you did it. Now you're in for it. They call me Mr. Pig, which I believe is a reference to Reservoir Dogs. The reference to the line, they call me Mr. Tibbs. I don't remember what movie that's from. I think it's Reservoir Dogs. Someone could correct me on that.
I don't think it is.
You don't think it's Reservoir Dogs?
I don't think so, but you could be right. Anyways, go on.
I don't remember what movie it's from, but it's a reference to the line, they call me Mr. Tibbs. And it beats the snot out of them. In this one, they're like, who's the fatty? Except for the problem is, as they drew the warthog, as they animated the warthog, it looked malnourished.
Yeah, it was skinny.
It was
definitely
skinny,
very
and so it's like this is not hitting at all,
Pumbaa.
right? You could animate a chunkier warthog, and they didn't, and then they played the fat joke, and it's like it falls completely flat because what you're saying and what I'm seeing are completely separated from reality.
Well,
it's like, come on, guys.
Listen, I don't want it to be thought that I thought the movie was good. I just know for a fact that I hold it in a higher regard than you two do, for sure.
Okay. Where
know that.
No,
I know that for a
we're
fact.
not ranking everything, but compared to like Little Mermaid live action and Beauty and the Beast live action, would you rank it above, below, like relative to those two? Do you think this movie has any merit
It
at
still
all?
might be. No, we talked the other day. I said the word is unnecessary.
Yeah.
But the word is not
Useless.
abhorrent. The word is
it
not
should
like
be useless, which is a synonym of unnecessary.
the word is not
I don't know.
mansplaining about synonyms over here. All I'm saying is
I didn't think I would have to, Liam.
my opinion of it is higher than
It's okay.
your
When you get a little
opinion of it.
older and a little wiser, you'll understand. You'll look back and be like,
You're kind of
"Man,
like
these opinions were
you're like Simba before.
I
he
never
yeah, you're
realizes-
Simba before. Once
just like, oh, it
once your
doesn't
uncle
matter.
kills your dad, you'll understand.
I'm stubborn and I will never change this opinion ever. That's on record.
All right, so I'm going to do my absolute best to just avoid the argument of just talking about how just abysmal, horrible. The voice acting was
It's really bad.
Like once again, the visuals.
Great.
The better the visuals were, the worse the acting was, and the worse the visuals were, the acting was still bad. So just nothing good. So let's talk about actual plot devices, like the movie itself. This one, out of all the ones we've watched so far, which are only 3, this is for sure the most shot-for-shot remake of any of them.
Yeah,
it
I
was
agree.
very much, and also I will say, here we're going to go into some of the benefits, right? Some of the good things. I'm going to dig super deep into one of the good things. It didn't feel super long.
No.
It didn't feel
No.
super long.
No.
I don't actually think it was all that long.
It was
let me
a
check the runtime.
little under 2 hours.
Which, regardless whether it is or wasn't, the fact that it didn't feel long is credit to the movie.
and isn't that a sign of a great film?
Great.
Okay, so the original is 1 hour and 27 minutes.
I don't know, Liam. Is it a great film?
I don't know, man. You tell me.
You see,
So they added 30 minutes, but 10 of those are credits. So they added about 20 minutes.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
and that's fine. All right. And so that's one of the things that I will say was okay. And there were two. Other than that, there were 2 mild changes because again, there weren't very many big changes at all. Very mild changes that I noticed. One of which I thought was pretty solid. One of which I thought was useless. The one that was solid was when you watch the animated one and you see him go to the canyon and he practices his little roar. It's a very like last minute Scar's like, oh, by the way, you can work on your little roar, and he walks off. And at least for me as a kid, for a very long time, I couldn't put it together as to why Simba thought like it was his fault. Like that
Yeah.
was beyond me. I was
a
like,
good point.
I understand that Scar is walking to him and saying, "What have you done?" But other than that, like when he got older, he must have instantly realized, oh, like he just said that and it was a stampede. What did I have to do with anything? In the live action, he specifically talks about this is a canyon where everybody practices their roar. Why don't you sit here and practice for a while and I'll go, I forget what he said. I'll go get your father, or your father wants to meet you here.
Yeah.
So then he sits there, and then right when he does his big roar, that's when they send that's when he gives the signal to send the wildebeest down.
Well, that
So
that
he
kind of
thinks-
happens in the original too. So
It
he does
does.
he does the
It-
big roar
it-
that actually spooks the chameleon, and then the earth starts rumbling.
Right.
So from his perspective, he roared, and then the stampede started.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the initial one didn't do that, or that it necessarily even did a bad job. I would just say I appreciated the
Oh, it
little
was
bit.
much- that
I
it was
appreciate
clearer.
the
Yeah.
clarity in the second one. That if you were going to clarify one thing, that's really not a terrible. Like I don't think it diminished the movie at all. I think it added a little bit to it. It's very small. It just a little more emphasis on the roar to where when you're watching, maybe even as a kid, you go, oh. He was sitting here practicing his roar, and they kind of tricked him into thinking like that. That's what caused the stampede.
He also Scar also like gaslit Simba a little harder in the remake.
Yeah.
Like I think in the original it's just like an offhanded line like you did this, you killed your father. And I also like felt a little confusion as to be like, well, why would he think that he did that? But
Right.
like
Because he thought he caused a
the
stampede.
gaslighting from Simba Scar in the remake was like a couple lines. Like you did this. Like this is why you did this. I can't believe you. Like your mother's going to be so disappointed. Your father would have been so disappointed. Like I think it
It was a
hammered
little
it
more
home
heavy-handed.
a little. And I wrote that down as a part that I actually appreciated.
Also, viewer writes in, it is from the movie In the Heat of the Night.
In the heat of the night, thank
Quote
you.
is Mr. Tibbs. So,
Yes, they call me Mr. Tibbs.
Thank you, viewer.
So the second change, that was Hope, by the way. Thank you, Hope. The second change, which I think is really dumb. And again, 20 minutes of extra footage is really not that much. I think it's good that they didn't
Although
add a
I
whole
will
lot.
say the extra footage, the extra shots, some of them are noticeable, were just completely useless.
Right, it would be like a cricket walking.
Yeah, it was just like someone walking really
It's like-
slowly.
it's the scene where the mouse approaches Scar
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
beginning,
It's
but they're
like an
like,
extra 2
you know what we
minutes."
should do? We should spend 2 minutes showing where this mouse came from. So yes, there was a lot of stuff like that, which I'll talk about that in a second. Let me get to this first thought of one of the actual plot, not really a plot change, but something they decided to add, which. Okay, so if there was one thing about the originals that I'd be like, well, this is a little silly. It's like, I don't know if you call it theology, but it's the whole idea of the circle of life. Like it's like whatever. For me, it doesn't hit very hard. It doesn't have a lot of depth to it. You're like, oh, I can understand a lion thinking this, but to me, like I don't draw a whole lot from that. That would not be a device that I would want to dig into deeper, which they kind of try to do that with Scar. Like, so Scar takes over, right? And things go bad. And instead of just being like, hey, he's a bad king, things are just terrible under his rule, which you kind of get from the cartoon, and it's easy to make fun of. You know, we talked about how like, oh, all of a sudden the water is gone now that Mufasa's gone.
Yeah.
But you can kind of just get the idea that Scar isn't doing his job at keeping order of whatever kind. Whereas in the remake, they try to just emphasize and explain a little bit that he's over hunting.
Yeah.
Which for me is just like, really, you wanted to emphasize the whole circle of life thing, that like, so you're gonna say that Mufasa was killing just enough wildebeest for them to be like, because I mean, think about it from the wildebeest perspective. You think that they're sitting there and they're like, yeah, circle of life. Like, you guys produce the best grass when you die, so that's why I'm hanging out here. So we hang out here so that we can eat your bodies, which turn into the grass, and we'll sacrifice a few of us to do that. And
You
now
can
that
have Jerry
now that
broke
you've
his leg
eaten
last summer,
too
you know,
much
take
of
him.
us, we're just going to turn and leave, because it's shown that these animals aren't gone, like they're not extinct. They're just not hanging around Pride Rock because they're getting eaten too many times. But I'm like, you want to dig into that because like were they there in the first place because they're like, we don't get eaten that much being here, and we get to enjoy the fresh grass that comes from
He's
your
cruel
body.
but fair.
and so in the sequel they try to make it seem like, oh, he's over hunting. And it's like, that's not the explanation.
Well,
the explanation
Mufasa is a renowned conservationist.
the explanation is just that he's a bad king. And
Yeah.
so trying to dig into why that was, I thought that was a little stupid. But
Yeah, he's a bad king because he's greedy and he lets the hyenas. Well, they make that they do that in the remake. They do that throwaway line like the hyenas are always hungry, they're never full. Like that, the reason that the hyenas live in the elephant graveyard and the reason that it's an elephant graveyard is because they've overhunted.
is
And
that the idea?
That was the idea. Yeah. So they
And because he makes a pact with the hyenas.
yeah, he basically makes a pact like, hey, you can come ruin the Pride Lands too, which is a really dumb move. And you think, see, the smart thing for Scar to do would be to have the hyenas help him kill Mufasa and then kick the hyenas out, because after that, he doesn't need them anymore.
Right.
He doesn't need them after he becomes king, right?
You should
as
betray
far as
them.
everyone knows, Simba's dead, Mufasa's dead. He is the rightful heir to the throne at that point, and so he takes control. And then,
Would the
you know-
hyenas maybe have like power in numbers though? I don't see
Yes,
Scar
but
getting a lot
they're-
of people
it's
on
like-
board with him, lion wise.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they can't be trusted. So then, I think the smart move for Scar, which he always says like, oh, I have the brain. So the smart move for Scar, at least in the remake, the way they set it up, because again, in the original one, they're his goons.
Right.
So it makes sense for him to take them with him.
They're all drows.
But then in the new one, it's like it's an alliance, and so I think it would make sense for Scar to be like, oh, the hyenas helped kill Mufasa, and then get the lioness to turn and kill all the hyenas,
Right, because at that point he hadn't been a bad king yet.
Right, and
He's
then
he's just a trusted
and
uncle.
then if the hyenas are like, wait, no, but you came to us to kill Mufasa, and be like, what, liars? They're trying to
Right.
tear us apart. I don't know. I feel like.
But even that,
I feel like Scar in the remake just didn't do anything clever at all.
No, he was not intelligent by any standard.
Where
And
he was fairly clever in the.
And I don't
original.
mind him like being a dumpster fire of a king. That's the idea, is that he takes
Right,
over. It's
right.
what
He
we
can
talked
still
about
be
at
a
the
terrible
beginning.
king.
Like, it's his passion that leads him there. It's the idea that he thinks that he's owed this.
Mans was such a bad
And
king that it stopped raining. Think about that.
It had nothing to do with like his ideas of what to do as a king. It
Okay.
was just, I just
Well,
want to be king because I want to have the power, and he's actually really bad at it.
Let's
I
pause
like
for a
that.
second and think about. So he becomes king, and it doesn't rain. Who is Lion Elijah?
Who?
Who is the lion Elijah, or which
get
animal is
let's get
Elijah that said
theological up
it's
in
not
here."
going to rain for 3 years?
Let's get theological up in here.
Theological up in here.
I also noted another difference. Maybe you guys have thoughts on this, but
Yeah.
it seemed like in the remake they played more into like the storyline that like love triangle is not the word, but like
Yes.
Scar was trying to like
Scar like
Scar wanted to get with Sarabi.
chose
both before the movie took place. Like
Right.
it seemed like he was into Sarabi, and then after like wanted Sarabi to like be like okay with like them being a couple.
Well, I
Right.
did notice this, and I didn't bring it up because I wasn't sure if this is what they were trying to do, but I did have a question. So they don't mention the whole "you were stronger than me, Mufasa." That's why you took, like, it wasn't like when it comes to brute strength. Although, did they have that line?
No, they have that line.
Okay, because they have that line, but he mentions early to Sarabi.
But he delivered it so flatly that you're like, what?
I already forgot it. I've forgotten it already. But he delivers a line to Sarabi where he says, I think that this was said. He said, "If you had just chosen me."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of implies that she had the power as to who was going to be the king of Pride the lands.
Pride the lands.
Pride,
Yeah.
comma, lands.
No, I caught that. Yeah,
So
that's
is
exactly what they said.
that really what they were saying? Because in
It
reality,
might be. There's the thing is they didn't put in that many lines. Scar clearly is after Sarabi, like wants Sarabi to be his queen.
She wants
but you know we only have it kind of is just that one line where he's like, "You should have chosen me." So,
well, no, because then later he puts the emphasis on the fact that she isn't cool with him. She thinks that he's doing a bad job, and he's like, "Well, if you would just take my side, then this would all be complete." Yeah. Then
Right,
we would have the lionesses on our side.
Yeah,
or
I think he
whatever the
does
case
imply
is.
that the lionesses follow her.
But they're not openly rebelling.
Yeah, that's the thing because so in the original, they are clearly like Scar is the king. We follow like you're in charge, and so they're arguing with him. They're saying Scar, there's no food. But when he says you need to look harder, they're just like, I mean, yeah, he's the king.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. So in this one, I do think they kind of implied that Sarabi's the one who's in charge of the lionesses,
Right.
even though Scar's the king.
Female empowerment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that's, I
there
don't know
were
if that's what
definitely some-
if that's the intention.
There were
It's a
definitely
little
some
weird,
very
but
light attempts at that, which
it
didn't bother
could-
me too much.
It could also be that in 2019, Hollywood doesn't understand how the monarchy works. That's very possible.
They're like-
they just don't understand how it works.
They're like,
It's been
like,
too long
these-
since 7076. They
these-
don't understand how a king works.
And they weren't willing to research
these
it at all.
lions are
Clearly.
clearly oppressive and bigoted, and we can't depict them like this.
You know what's had this
You
damn
know
lion
sexist
patriarchy has been
lions.
too good for too long.
Yeah, we got to take shots at
And
the
so
lion.
they're like,
patriarchy.
in reality, it's the lionesses. It's like, have you guys ever seen that video? This is a real nature video of like, there's like a bunch of lionesses, and there's all these like giant wildebeest like sprinting by in a herd, and they're all waiting. Like, which one are we gonna pick off? Like, they're slowly, and it takes forever. They're just waiting, and then one of the main male lions just runs straight out into the oncoming traffic and just like tackles one. It gets bulldozed, but he just latches onto it, and then the lionesses like walk up, and it's like the power difference is so clearly like scary different in like a lion pride. And the idea that it's like, well, now we're depicting lions where there's clearly like there's a male and he runs the pride. It's like, well, we can't quite do that, guys.
Well, maybe the lionesses kind of pull the strings in the background. In real life.
They're conniving.
Who knows? Maybe that's the dynamic.
Secret vizier.
Listen, I'm just trying to opposing viewpoint.
Are you going on
Probably
QAnon
true.
on us?
I'm going left. I'm going hard left. This is left Liam. This is hard
It's
left
Jakob.
Liam.
Take off the hat. He's
Jakob. Jakob actually. So I know we usually do letters from Jakob, but he said he refuses to watch any movie that animal cruelty took place in. And I tried to explain to him.
It's not wrong.
I tried to explain to him that no, it's animated, but he insisted that they were real animals.
Many
that they were
animated animals were harmed in the making of this film.
Did
Yeah.
he think that the original was real, or did he think that the live action was real?
He thought the live action were real animals that they had on set and stuff.
That's really bad.
So it's
I know,
unfortunate.
tell
dude. He
Jakob.
doesn't really
You
understand
can tell
a whole
Jakob
lot
that
about
he's an
movies.
idiot.
Yeah. Well,
I do very often,
and
actually.
one of the problems with the live action remake is it is so shot for shot, and the changes they made really didn't change any of the plot. There's really not much to say about it other than saying there's 0 point to watch it. It's just
Unnecessary.
not worth watching. I really do not understand how it made $1 billion. That boggles my mind that people would be willing to go see this when now I wonder if it's because Disney Plus. So now that you have Disney Plus, I'm wondering how it's changed because Disney used to do the vault. We talked about this, the vault
Yeah, the
thing,
vault things.
where it wasn't always guaranteed that you would be able to go and buy The Lion King on DVD. You could at some point, but they would like rotate things in and out. But now, if you have a Disney Plus subscription, you can watch every single Disney animated movie ever. And so I'm wondering if now the live action ones are going to do terrible because people are like, well, I could just watch the old good one for free. Functionally,
I mean, I think The Little Mermaid did pretty good, though.
I'm not sure it's doing great.
No?
No, it's not doing great.
Someone
It might
fact-check that.
make its budget back, but that's not
Really?
The goal is not to make its budget back. The goal is to
No, of
make
course
a
not.
lot of money.
Wait.
But I don't think it did very well.
Really?
You don't think which one did better?
Little
Little
Mermaid.
Mermaid, I don't think it
that's
did
the most
very well.
recent
Oh.
example of it.
Yeah, I don't think.
Keep in mind that when we talk about box office income, the vast majority of it is coming from overseas.
Oh yeah, it barely,
so really,
it
it's
barely
like
made any money.
yeah. So if it played well in China, that's when a movie makes its money back, and I don't think it did.
But we see this several times, right? Like one of the most grossing movies of all times is Star Wars Episode 7. It might be the most, I think, and it's just because it comes on the tails of such a huge franchise. So like people are just waiting, and regardless of whether the movie really was good or not, people are going to blow their money to see it. And Marco pointed this out in the chat. But the fact that it was made on the head of possibly the best of the Disney, and
Right.
I think out of us
I
here,
can
we
see
haven't
that
all
the people
explicitly said it, but
I-
we think that it's
the
up
thing
there
is,
with one of the best.
I kind of get the idea of it's the thing I love, but live action. But at the same time, as I say time and time again, the animation has things that you just can't get in live action. And to me, I've never seen a live action adaptation of an animation that has been able to capture the parts I love about the animation.
Well, I mean, there's
So
a lot
I
of
just
advantages that like animation have over live action. I mean, even like when you just talk about people, this is why a lot of people prefer anime. Like they really get into anime. This is why anime has a huge
It's
following.
also because anime is well written. Shocker.
Well, for a lot of reasons, true. But I think one of them is that animated characters can express emotions in amazing ways.
Yeah.
Like, and you can do things that real life characters can't. I mean, they can do
Well,
whatever
real
they
life
want
characters
to.
can, but real life characters have to be really good actors to express that kind of emotion. Like if you look at like Jim Carrey can do
Carrey.
facial expressions
That's exactly what I
really,
was
really
thinking
well.
of,
But it's not easy to emote to
No, there's only
properly
one
emote
Jim
facially.
Carrey.
And so on an animation, you just draw what you need to draw.
Well, but
and over exaggerate.
I'm not saying that actors can't evoke the same kind of
right.
emotions
No,
or
I
do
know
a
what you're
good
saying.
job.
I know what you're saying.
I'm just saying there is a level you can go to with animation
Right,
that
right.
exceeds like over exaggeration. Right, somebody's head gets really big and the rest of their extremity stays small. Of
course.
Like you can do things like that.
What do you mean you can't
And-
do that in real life? What are you talking about?
And like
I
that,
don't understand. What's
that,
the issue?
That happens in all of these that we've been watching. Like Scar's head gets really big as he comes towards the screen, and the rest of his body shrinks, and he reveals his teeth, and he's laughing or cackling or something. I mean, okay, I cannot believe we haven't talked about this yet. That song.
Oh
The
my
s-
God!
the
spoken word, be prepared.
version,
Made me want to die. That was
spoken
just
word, be
that was
prepared.
one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
Fire away.
That was just like
I didn't think that song was ever very good, to be honest.
what?
What did you
that
just
it may
say?
be the best
So I
villain
didn't really
song
care.
ever.
Nah.
Are you serious?
No, I didn't really
Are
care.
you serious?
I didn't care for it.
Bro, you don't
Dude.
like Be Prepared?
Be Prepared
really.
is the
I don't
single
really
greatest
give-
villain song. Not just the greatest villain song. It's one of the best songs in Disney.
No.
It is
actually
incredible.
It's the
offended.
fifth best song in its own movie. How can it be one of the best?
Excuse me?
How can it be one of the best songs in Disney? It's the worst song in its own movie.
This is the single worst take you have ever had.
What
I think I
songs
agree.
in Lion King are better than or is Be Prepared better than?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
I think it is the best song in.
You think it's the best
it's
song
the
in
best
that
song
movie?
in Lion King.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the dumbest thing you guys have ever said.
No.
That's worse than the
Dude,
Emma Watson
no.
take. Yeah, that's egregious. Be prepared, dude. Are you guys serious? Are you guys living in banana land?
Yes.
This is
and it's
absurd.
wonderful.
I Can't Wait to Be King, Circle of Life, Can You Feel Love Tonight, blow Be Prepared out of the stratosphere.
Do,
Do you think, well, hold on, you said fifth, but do you think Hakuna Matata is better than Be Prepared?
100%.
No, bro.
100%
Bro.
view.
I can see you putting the other three above Be Prepared
I
because
don't-
those are bangers. I cannot
Yeah.
deny those are bangers. It's not like, I'm not saying Be Prepared is like up here and all the others are down here.
Right.
I'm saying, it's a tight grouping.
I'm saying
man.
everything but Be Prepared is up there.
No,
and
Be Prepared
down
is
there.
the best villain song.
Be Prepared could not be in the movie, and I would
Oh my
be,
God.
feel the same
I was
way.
devastated.
I would feel the same
I was
way.
devastated.
I
was
actually didn't
so
even.
mad.
I would go as far as I didn't even notice anything was different.
Melody Morning Dew says
wrong
that
with you?
you're incorrect and that
That's
Be
Mateo.
Prepared is amazing.
They said,
Thank you.
I'm incorrect.
Yes.
Clearly.
You're incorrect.
Viewers, I need some backup here.
You
No.
are very
So,
wrong.
to go
in
back
this
to my
take.
Emma Watson take, which I still stand by. So I can see one thing I can
we're
see.
gonna get into
so
this again?
no, this
I'm
is,
kinda
no, no, no,
scared.
no. It's relevant. This is relevant. This is relevant. This is relevant. This is relevant.
You guys got trashed. You guys lost.
This is
objectively.
relevant. This is relevant. This is relevant. So I can see why my personal opinions on Emma Watson aside, I can see why people will be like, "Oh, Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson." I would go see that, right? I can see that angle. But for The Lion King, there's nothing. It's all animated. There's no like, oh, it's Donald Glover playing Simba, but it's not really. It's Donald Glover doing the voice of Simba, right? It's not really Donald Glover.
Yeah.
So I again, my personal Emma Watson opinion aside, which again, let me just.
Here we
I feel
go.
like I'm getting lambasted for something I didn't
Yeah.
actually
You are.
say. I did not say that she's not beautiful.
You said she was ugly.
No,
Butt
I
ugly.
did
You said
not
she was
say-
butt ugly.
Liar!
Run the tape back.
Run the tape. Oh, we have the tape. I didn't say that.
We run the tape back.
I did not say she wasn't beautiful. I just said her particular brand of beauty isn't the same kind of beauty that I'm looking for in Belle.
I don't know if
That's
that
the
was,
thing.
that was the word. I thought you said she's not hot enough.
No. I said she's not.
Okay, very
I didn't
clearly,
say that. Greg said that. I said she's
No.
not the type
Oh
of
my
hot
gosh.
for Belle.
Okay, guys, we
You're right.
We don't,
Greg
we,
is the misogynist.
Yeah,
out of all
Greg
three
is
of
the
us.
misogynist of the group.
Yeah,
We
that's a
will
good
agree
point.
that he's the
Yeah, we
patriarch.
can all agree on that.
He's the what is it? Trad.
Okay,
We don't agree on
I'm gonna
much, but we
stop
can all
this
agree on
right
that.
now. I'm going to stop this right now so we can get back onto Lion King. 'Cause we
But
don't
my
need
point
to
is,
relive
my
this
point is,
take.
I'm so shocked that it made $1 billion when it's like, again, what I can for me, I don't see any appeal to the live action remake, but I can see in again Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid, if you like some of the actors that are in it, you'd be like, oh, it's a movie that I like with actors that I like in it. I would go see that, but The Lion King doesn't have any of that, so I literally don't see the
I don't
appeal.
know. I'm wondering if it like came out at a time that where
Liam,
there wasn't a
Hope
whole lot
agrees
else
with you.
going on. Hope agrees with me.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
About Be
1 to 1.
Prepared?
About Be Prepared. She said, well, she says it's lower on the list. Okay, and
It's
I
the
want
lowest
to just
on the
ask
list.
this to give you a second chance real quick. Your take is that Be Prepared isn't just low, it's just not a good song, and that the live action adaptation where it is spoken word and it is half of the song where he just goes, it's a shining new era and it's tiptoeing nearer, and he's literally
just saying
slapping
the words.
original song
Be
with a
prepared.
smelly fish.
It wasn't worse.
You think
You're out of your
think that it
mind.
wasn't okay? So,
You're
so
out
I'm
of your
letting
mind.
you dig
Hope,
yourself
if
into
you
this
agree
grave.
with this man, look up, just go to YouTube and look up the live action Be Prepared, and then see if you have the same opinion.
It wasn't worse. It was about the same.
You're so wrong. I will even acknowledge that you can have Be Prepared at the bottom of your tier list for Lion King.
Yeah.
But for you to say that spoken word abomination is acceptable in light of the song,
It is the largest.
just wrong.
I will say it like this: it is the largest gap between original song and remake song.
100%.
And it's
100%.
not even close.
Not even close.
And I'm talking like
even
Gaston's
hyper
song
auto tune,
was yeah,
even
yes,
hyper auto tune Provincial
100%.
Life is better
100%.
than Be Prepared.
It's almost like I'm gonna bring a sports reference in. It's like the starting five for like the Golden State Warriors when they were really good. It was like KD, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green.
Okay.
That's like Hakuna Matata.
That was
I
four
can't wait to
people.
be king.
You said starting five,
Hold
you
on,
just named four
hold on.
people.
I can't wait to be king. Circle
really
of life.
curious to
Can't
see
feel
what-
love night.
yeah.
Then the fifth starter is Kevin Looney, and that would be the Be Prepared of the.
Yeah,
the
but okay,
movie.
but then in your analogy, and then now I'm going to pull in a Space Jam. Now Bill Murray's
terrible.
coming onto the court, and you're saying that is better than having Kevin Looney?
all I'm saying is it's objectively the fifth, and I'm right, and you two are wrong.
No,
Once
you do so
again, I win again.
No,
I win
you do
again.
so
2-0.
I can see it.
Duly
I can see
debated.
it.
We should be keeping score.
I might mute Micah for that.
I'm
That's
winning.
Such it's so bad.
That is
Two to
considering-
nothing.
that
considering
is
how
the single
beautiful
most
that
garbage
song
take
is.
you've had. That Be Prepared, not that Be Prepared is at the bottom of your tier list. I can accept
Yeah.
that, but that Be Prepared is not a good song. To
Right,
say that that's
exactly.
not a banger
There are
is just wrong.
There are
No.
other
It's
good
just
songs in
wrong.
Lion King, so it's understandable that you're like, well, it's not the first on the list. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But just to say it is a bad song and that
Yeah,
the live
no.
action remake that spat on that song was good.
I never said it was good.
It's absolutely
What did you say?
No, I
unacceptable.
said they're both bad.
You think they're both equally bad?
Equally bad?
I said they're not worse. They're not worse
That's
than
what
each
I
other.
said. You're
So they're
saying-
equal.
Yeah, they're not. Neither of them are
Okay,
good.
that's the take right there. You take that one to your grave.
We should do a ranking.
That's going to go on your headstone.
We should
That's going to go on
do-
your headstone. Liam Max. Here lies Liam Maxwell. I thought Be Prepared was bad.
That's really the worst take. That's
Yes,
that's where
that
we
is
draw
really-
the line.
yes,
I've had some takes you guys
100%. That's
disagree
the
with,
worst.
and that's
Yeah.
the worst one.
The
Yes,
audible,
really?
100%.
The audible excitement, the gasp that came from me when that song came on in the original was loud. I mean, DQ texted me from upstairs and he's like, "Dude, are you okay?" I'm like, "It's all right."
Be Prepared.
I'm just
came on.
watching Be Prepared from the original Lion King.
Be Prepared came on. I was
And-
like, oh, it's a good time to go to the bathroom.
And when
Grab a snack.
and when the remake played Be Prepared, I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and then the scene changed, and I realized that it had already passed.
I will say,
Just
I think
the whole
you
time.
and
so
I,
sad.
while watching Lion King, the remake, we booed a lot.
yeah,
We're sitting there and something
Liam,
would happen, we go boo.
I went like this.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
Liam, I got some bad news. Hope says, no, I don't agree with Liam now.
oh,
Told you.
I went too far.
Again,
I went too
it's
far.
not that. It's
I
not
dug
that.
too deep.
Again, because every song on there is really, really good.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think you can totally justify. Basically, I would argue that I don't think Hakuna Matata should be at the top. I think you can kind of put it in any order. I would argue with you if you said Hakuna Matata is the best song from the Lion King soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's
not,
any
of
other
course.
song saying the best. I could totally get behind. Like
Yeah.
Can You Feel the Love Tonight? If you said that was your favorite,
Yeah.
or Circle of Life, or Just Can't Wait to Be King. Those are all just tremendous songs.
Of course.
And so if you put any of those at your top, I would agree. Hakuna Matata at the top, I would say. I mean, it's good, but you really think it's better than all the other ones?
I would bet most people would agree with me, and I'm not even like this isn't a bit. I bet you most people would say
I
Be
think
Prepared
you're
is the
totally
worst song of Lion
I think
King.
you're totally wrong.
We should do like a poll or something. 'Cause I
We should do a
bet
poll.
You
We
most
should do a
people
poll.
would agree with me.
But yeah, again, the thing is, like, you can have Be Prepared at the bottom of your list, but still recognize that they're all above average songs, significantly above average songs.
Well, even in the realm of like our first thing that we said was it was the best villain song.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
the
think
best
that
villain song.
Ursula song and Gaston song,
I like,
which are both great. They're both
I
great
don't know.
songs.
I really love Gaston's song.
Gaston and Ursula both have great songs, but even amongst those, I think it is an easy pick. I think Be Prepared has the most depth to it as a song.
they're probably all like just down at the bottom of my list.
Did you like
I do
Scuttlebutt?
really like.
Well, yeah, of course. Scuttlebutt. Be prepared.
Oh my!
All right, we need to move on
I feel like
quickly
hit
from
you
this
with this
thing.
microphone
We've taken
stand.
way too much
It's
too
like-
long. Liam has derailed this entire show.
You've ruined
Our
everything.
show
just,
has
just horrible,
dissolved into
horrible.
to sludge.
You guys don't know what you're talking about.
I mean,
Okay, so let's say this.
this is the general. This is a generational gap. You damn
he's
Zoomers
a
think
young
all
guy.
this crap is good.
So tell me, Nathaniel, what is one thing you would change?
Okay, no, I got this, guys. I've been saying this for all the live action stuff. Just slap googly eyes on it, and it works. Just slap googly eyes on it, and suddenly everything works.
Are they slapping
Homeward
googly-
Bound it.
All the animals slap googly eyes on it.
So
Homeward Bound is a good
an
way
actual real animal, and you put googly eyes on the
too.
animal's
Okay, but the
face?
thing is, it's not a real animal. But yes, put googly eyes on it. Googly eyes and like a felt smile that you can like flip upside down when they're happy. Like something to show emotion. Anything to make the animal show emotion. And I think it works better. But I mean, that's hard to do with the hyper realistic animals. So honestly, I think you need to have like a hovering emoji that displays that like shows their mood. Like Simba is sad now.
I was looking for one of those shirts, like the ones they have of Darth Vader, where it's like all the different emotions, and it's like sad, happy, whatever. And it's just
It's
the
just
same
his face.
picture.
It's the
They
same.
could
Yeah,
do
that's
the
exactly
same
it.
exact
That's
thing
exactly
with
it.
this Lion King. I mean, they really could because it's like excited, sad. It's just like
the
it's
thing
minor
they could have done
changes.
something with the eyes, which they kind of did with Sebastian in Little Mermaid. Like they had his eyes were like Flounder was nothing. Like Flounder had no emotions, but Flounder
was
doesn't
literally
really
a
need to
fish.
show emotions. Sebastian, they had his eyes kind of reflect. He was angry. He was like fearful. So they showed emotion in his eyes, and I thought that was about the best they could have done with that. They didn't even do that. So
I
they're
actually
just
thought the
like these
Lion
big
King-
round cat eyes going, "I am sad."
I thought the Lion King did a better job than the Little Mermaid did.
You think so?
Of taking animals
Well,
and like
But the thing is,
putting them into live action.
The Little
form.
Mermaid had less. It relied less on the animals. They weren't the main characters.
Yeah.
Ariel's the main character, and Eric, and even Triton, and all three of them could speak and act like humans.
Yeah.
It got weird when they got more CGI when she's swimming fast and you can tell her face is trying to rotoscope onto it.
It's just like lagging behind me a little bit.
It literally it looked more like the live action cats. But I think the reason why I wouldn't even compare it is because none of those like Flounder isn't a main character. He got nerfed in that movie.
Yeah.
And
Dude.
nobody really even batted an eyelash unless you watch the original and go, man, he's way more involved because he's not a main character.
And
Whereas
he also,
the Lion King,
again, he also has emotions.
like Flounder has to be the main character. Like you've got to stare at Flounder's dead fish face and have him deliver emotional
Okay, are you
lines
saying you
to
didn't?
you
Wait, you didn't hear? They're doing
for 2
2
hours. That's why the Lion King is so egregious.
You
It's
didn't hear
'cause
they're
it's
doing the
literally that
Flounder
fish.
spinoff?
The Hamlet.
Flounder,
Flounders.
Flash in the Pan. They're doing. You didn't hear about that, Greg?
I actually wouldn't be surprised if that's a true thing. You're
A
saying.
true thing that they're actually
Nothing
doing
would
that.
surprise me.
Nothing surprises
Nothing
me
would
anymore.
surprise me about Disney.
I'm willing to bet that Flounder didn't get a
I mean, at
remake.
some point they have to run out of money, right? You would think.
No.
You know what's really ironic? This is 2023 is like the 100th anniversary of Disney, right? It's been around since 1923. And I think every single movie they put out this year has completely flopped.
Nice.
They're just like they're just power bombing. Just
Do you think they'll ever
atrocious.
like revert
regain
back?
that? I
Or do they
think
just keep
I think it
just-
will take. I think we're seeing the end of an era, which was Disney riding the coattails of. I think we're hitting the end of the nostalgia era.
Yeah.
Because the people who have grown up with the good Disney, which was late 80s to 90s to early 2000s, before they even I would argue when they switched to 3D animation, they had a good run with like Tangled, Frozen, Zootopia.
Yeah.
I think there's one other one. The Wreck-It Ralph was good.
Yep.
They had a bunch of good ones, and then since then, I really don't think they've had anything that's just been excellent.
No,
They've had
definitely
some
not.
decent ones, some bad ones. They've been like bad to decent. But they haven't had anything excellent. And the remake was to try to cash in on that nostalgia of, all the kids who grew up with these movies now have kids of their own, and they'll want to bring them to see that. But the thing is, like, when I grew up, my parents were like, hey, let's watch the original thing that I grew up with. Not, oh, hey, here's this thing based on this thing that I grew up with. Let's go see that. It's always like, I grew up on like old Gigantor cartoons and old Thor cartoons and things like that my dad watched growing up. We would watch that. I think the one exception is Star Trek, because Star Trek was like still going, and so we just kept watching Star Trek. But when it comes to movies, they'd be like, hey, here's a movie I watched when I was growing up. Let's watch it together.
That's a good point. It's not. It still holds up, so
Right.
it's not like it's still an amazing movie,
Right. And
now.
so the newer movies that we would see would be like, I was interested in it, and so my parents would take me to see that. And I don't think Disney's getting that anymore because they're playing to the wrong crowd. Whereas I think DreamWorks and Illumination are saying we're aiming for the kid audience, whereas Disney has been aiming for the adult audience and hoping that they bring their kids to the movies.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't think anything they're doing is appealing to kids. Like, what kid is going to want to see the live action remakes, which are all like, for some reason, although Lion King wasn't, the lighting in Lion King was actually pretty good. But Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid were so dark and murky and just whereas the animated ones are just so vibrant with color.
Sure.
And it's like, if you're a kid, you're going to go for the vibrant colors every time because that's what's appealing.
Well, that's why the attempts to remake these are confusing. Liam, we got a lot more people agreeing with us, and I'm just gonna let you rest on that. I'm not gonna abuse you anymore.
If I admit I'm wrong on the Emma Watson thing, will you admit you're wrong and be prepared?
I will never admit that I'm
Okay,
wrong.
then I won't admit I'm wrong
on
on Emma
anything.
Watson.
But what I don't get about the new Disney direction is that, like, I can understand movies now being a lot more about money making. Like, I get that.
I mean, they've
because-
always been about money making.
Yeah, but before, like, you'd make a good movie, it would become a classic because you'd buy the VHS and you would own it, and then you would just rewatch it several times.
For those of
And
you watching, a VHS was a cartridge with a magnetic tape on it that you would put into a VHS player, and you could fast forward and rewind. So
it
the
stands for
symbols,
Video Home
Home
Service.
Service. And it beat out Betamax. It's the reason we don't use Betamax. So there you go.
anyways, so yes, thank you for that explanation.
Greg's laughing at the viewers' comments. I can see.
Yeah,
him
I'm
over there
trying to both
chuckling.
interact and
chuckling at
He's
the
trying to
viewers'
read.
comments.
That's the problem.
okay, well, like there was a little bit of shade thrown at me because I kind of disregarded all the comments to you. They're like, "Oh, he's ignoring the comments."
Read them out.
Read
them
them
out
out.
right now. Read them
Give us the
out
comments.
right
We
now.
need
I
to know.
demand
You know
to
what?
hear what
There
these
is-
people are saying.
Don't make me open the YouTube stream on my phone and read
I
the comments
demand
on
to
my
hear
own.
it. I'll speak right to them.
There's
I'm opening.
there's a large
I'm
bit
opening
about
the stream.
a specific person having musical background, and from an objective point of view, stating that "Be Prepared" is a quote fantastic song.
Yes, well, I have a musical background as well, so
Some more about that, and then some discussion about how Disney needs to create new content, and then some agreeing with Nathaniel's point.
well, I have a musical background.
And
So null.
Alyssa also told me to ignore you.
What did
Alyssa,
Alyssa say?
Alyssa agrees with
She
Liam.
said to ignore you.
Alyssa, okay, here's a fun fact about Alyssa is we watched the original together recently. Hated it.
She hated it.
Hated the original movie.
Original Lion King?
Yeah.
Well, so her opinion is invalid.
Exactly. so there you go.
Sorry, Alyssa.
Sorry.
Uh,
Anyways, I'm gonna finish my point
How
here
did you
before
hate
I
The
forget.
Lion King?
That's what I was saying.
That's
it was
really,
insane.
really tough.
It was insane. It made me rethink
What movie?
everything.
What movies does she like?
There's now
Alyssa,
a
what
new
movies do
villain.
you like?
There's a new villain in the
She
chat
likes
now.
Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh,
a
well,
lot.
that explains it. So you and Jakob just go and watch movies.
on.
And
I'm
are
gonna
like,
throw a flag on the
let's
play."
just watch this garbage can for 2 hours. This is a great movie. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
And big shocker, I read a comment wrong.
Yeah, keep in mind, guys,
dyslexic, guys.
Greg's dyslexia still functions when he's reading YouTube comments, so he doesn't turn it off.
Kid can't even read.
One, before Alyssa informed me that she did not, in fact, watch Lion King, I knew that Liam was just throwing her under the bus. Like I saw it clear as day. I'm like, Liam is just getting himself.
Wow!
Like, it's not even.
Guys, play into it.
Play into it.
Play into
throwing
it.
people under the bus.
She's
All
never,
right,
she's
hold
never
on.
watched.
Never
these.
watched
Very
like
good.
the original. You should watch the original. It's legitimately a really good movie, and it's only
amazing movie.
and all the original animated Disney ones are only an hour and a half long, so it's not a huge investment of time either.
No, not at all.
All right, we're gonna keep this somewhat on the rails here, and I'm gonna do my best.
Are we?
to finish my
I feel
thought.
like we're going off.
Impossible.
We're
It's already
falling
off.
apart.
It's already off.
I'm gonna finish my thought at least.
What thought?
I
Was that 20
legitimately don't
minutes
know what
ago?
the.
You guys suck.
I really have no idea what you were talking about. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Right, your thought about how the lion is the patriarchy, and that's how it should be because female lions need to be put in their place. Yeah, Greg, we don't agree with you. We think that female lions should have the same rights as male lions.
Yeah, and I think every viewer can
Every
agree
viewer
with
can agree
that.
with that.
Unity in the chat.
Okay.
Lion
anyways.
empowerment.
No.
Greg's actually getting mad.
Okay.
It's okay. We're over here and he's over there.
Greg ends the live stream.
I had a thought about. I'm the producer. It's my show. I had a thought about how modern day movies are made to just get people
Right.
to watch them once, and it's not about. It's like it's more disregarding the finer points of storytelling and filmmaking, and more like what are people looking for? Because who cares about the other stuff?
Right. So in other words, trying to get people in the seats in the theaters, and after that, who cares?
Right, like
whether if the movie falls into obscurity after it's
Yeah.
done in theaters, it doesn't matter because that's where you've made your budget back because the streaming is not making any money.
Yes, and I think that's why you get a lot of like movies looking the way they are because they're just doing their absolute best to appeal to modern, and that's why you get all these really annoying modern themes shoved into really good content, and they're less worried about this being something that somebody will want to rewatch or something that appeals to a broader audience than the target audience. Of saying no, we need it super concentrated and be like, what does a kid want? And then just like blast them with bright colors and all this weird stuff and all these like in jokes and then who cares if this ever gets rewatched by other generations? We're gonna pump out the money from it now, and I mean it's just sad.
It's sad, and the problem is it just doesn't work.
And the deeper
we've seen
themes,
it that the movies that are being successful are not the movies that are quote pandering to the broadest possible audience. Spider-Verse is doing excellent. Like Top Gun Maverick did really well. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish did really well. And those were all really solid movies because they set out to make a good product. And part of that is looking at what audiences want and appealing to that. And then part of it is also showing your creativity because the hardest thing is people don't know what they want until they have it. And so people always say, oh, I want another Star Wars. I want another Lord of the Rings. I want another da-da-da-da-da. But the reality is, no. You just want to experience those feelings again that you did when you watched it for the first time, which you can never really experience them.
Right.
But what you can do is you can go back and appreciate a piece of art for what it is, even though it's fixed in time. It's not changing. Like the Lord of the Rings movies, the Star Wars movies, as much as George Lucas keeps trying to, they're not changing, right?
Yeah.
They're fixed in time. And so you just got to go and appreciate them for what they are and enjoy them, right? And you can only ever enjoy something for the first time once, but then all the subsequent times you can get, similar level of enjoyment out of it. And what people want is people both want something new and they want the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really hard niche to fill. And so the reality is if the people wanting something that's fresh and new generally is going to outweigh people wanting the same thing. But when it comes to themes, right, like big, broad themes that we talk about, those things are kind of timeless. So if you try to change those things, that never works. That never works. And that's really the reason that when people are like, oh, look, it's Lord of the Rings, but with, made for modern audiences. It's Star Wars, but made for modern audiences. The reason these are falling flat is because while they've given us new characters and new dialogue and new whatever, those are all superficial things. Right. Those are things that on the surface, they don't actually matter. They only serve to get you into the things that do matter, which are the themes and the story and the characters. So Hollywood has gone and changed all these superficial things in hopes that, you know, that'll give you the need for change, while also, you know, bringing along the old stuff. But then their worldview is completely at odds with the older stuff, and so the only thing they know to do when they bring in the older stuff, and we've seen this with character after character after character, when there's, oh, here's the new hotness. And the old character is just a shitty old person who's broken and depressed and garbage and just wants to die.
Right.
And our new character is so great. They never make any mistakes. They're always perfect. They're always doing, quote, the right thing, even though they're usually very morally gray, if you actually think about it. But no, they're always right. And, you know, and they're always inwardly focused. It's always about them being the best them they can be. It's never about, like we talked about in The Lion King, duty and responsibility and things that are bigger than yourself. And those are the things that resonate with audiences is reaching something, is being able to transcend what you are by yourself. So, you know, finding a cause that is bigger than you and being able to be a part of that is a theme that will never ever go out of style and always resonates with everyone, because everyone feels that. And if you want me to bring in the Jesus connection to The Lion King, that line again when Mufasa says, "You've forgotten who you are, so you've forgotten me," I think that's when we forget that we're part of this bigger story, and we focus it, we become self-centered, we lose sight of who God is and who we're really supposed to be focused on, right? So that's my Lion King Jesus connection, is that, you know, you can't be inwardly focused, because ultimately that is not a fulfilling lifestyle. You have to be outwardly focused. Now, obviously, as a Christian, you know, we see that God is the true focus, and that's what gives you a foundation for everything else. But even people who don't believe in that will still find fulfillment in being more outwardly focused, because we're built to be outwardly focused, to be relational, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And so if you look at all the biggest classics, the movies that everyone's like through generations love, all the characters, they might start selfish, but they never stay that way. They always end up doing something sacrificial, giving up something for themselves for the greater good.
Right.
Always.
For sure.
And
that just doesn't happen in modern Hollywood, because it's all about me and me realizing who. And I think the turning point was Frozen, where Elsa is like, "Oh, I just need to be free of these shackles, and then I'll be happy." Now, if you watch the movie, that doesn't actually happen. Like, when she frees herself, it causes all sorts of problems. But they kind of make it out like because she was originally supposed to be the villain in that movie. They kind of make it out to be like, oh no, it's right, it's good for her to be free from all these controls, right? She says, "No right, no wrong, no rules for me." That's like in the song she's singing. And if you ever played Kingdom Hearts 3, then you would also see Sora, Dawn, and Goofy watching her sing this song, going, "That girl looks sad." But I digress. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a video game ever. But the point is, the reason the modern movies just don't resonate is because everyone's so internally focused, and the biggest problem is the writers at Hollywood have nothing outside themselves. They are 100% internally focused. They've just divested themselves of all truth, all morals, all objectivity, and say, well, it's all about me and what I want and getting the best for me, and you can't write good stories. You just cannot write good stories. And the reason people are watching like Succession and stories where all the characters are horrible and liking those is because they're good at writing horrible characters because they're horrible people. You write what you know. These people are horrible people who can't look outside themselves, and so they're really good at writing characters who are like that. And when they write them as, oh yeah, you're supposed to not like this person, it works really well. And when they're writing them as, no, this is the hero, you're like, I hate this person. This person is a horrible person. I wouldn't want to spend time with this person. And that's why all the new heroes and heroines have just been abysmal characters, unlikable, self-righteous, people who don't need to grow and change. Again, the Captain Marvel problem of, oh, you just need to stop letting people hold you back because you're as strong as you need to be. You don't need to change. You just need to stop people from holding you back, is a terrible message for people. Because guess what? And I'm looking, all you people out there, you're trash. You need to work on yourself. I'm trash. Liam's trash. Greg's trash. Liam is more trash than us because he thinks Be Prepared was a bad song. But that's subjective. But the point is, saying, oh, I'm just not going to let people hold me back won't stop you from being trash, right? You have to be externally focused. You have to be externally focused. If you're just internally focused, you're going to be miserable. But you have to be externally focused, and that's the story that resonates with everyone. And that's what Lion King has, which, again, the remake doesn't ruin that part.
No.
But that modern movies, by and large, have completely lost that thread. And that's why they're trash.
Yeah. Great thought.
Beautiful.
I was letting you just roll with it.
That's why I do. I do it for your.
That's a clip.
It's all about me,
That's
and
a
I
clip,
need you guys
Greg.
to affirm me, or it's like there's no point in me doing this, right?
but I mean, you hit it on the head with the idea that, like, as a viewer, any viewer anywhere, nobody is going to admit that they're faultless. Like, everybody can understand that, like, I'm a broken person, and then I'm going to relate to characters that have flaws. But the problem, and I think the modern reinterpretation of a lot of these, and we can see it in remakes, or not exactly remakes, but like the new Lord of the Rings, I think, is a great example of this, where you have characters who are all inwardly motivated in this new Rings of Power. And you're wondering why this story isn't just hitting as hard. And it's because all of these characters, like, they have what they want to do, and there are just obstacles in their way that are outside of themselves. And they're like, these people just need to change, or this just needs to happen, and then I'll feel fulfilled. And as a person watching, you're struggling internally, going, well, what is it that I can? Am I feeling this way, like that I'm not who I want to be, or that I'm a little bit broken, or I'm kind of a mess because all these other people, or am I this way because, like, I've got problems, and like everybody else does as well. And we all need to work on ourselves, because one gives the power to you, and the other one just gives you the power to point the finger at somebody else. And I think that's why stories aren't compelling, is because you don't inspire anything when you just say, "Hey, everybody's out to get you," and by the end of this movie, we're going to fix all the other bad people, and then you're going to be the perfect person you were the whole time. Because, like, some of the viewers are writing in, it's still good to have personal development. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
like,
no,
you
absolutely.
can have, the personal development, I think, and I'll let you obviously speak on this, I think from what you were saying is, like, that comes through working, like that comes through the process, right? Like, let's take Frodo as a case study, right? So Frodo lives in a very comfortable place. We established that the Shire is pretty much where everybody wants to live. It's your family and it's your friends, and you go around to parties all the time, and then you just have this quiet lifestyle where you read books and you smoke pipes and you drink beer with all your friends, and it's like a magical, beautiful, like, lush, natural landscape. That's where you live. And then he's like, hey, you have to leave all this right now to take this ring to this place. You're probably going to die. And he's like, well, no, take it. You must take it. And Gandalf is like, no, you don't understand. The ring chose you. You have to do this. And in that moment, he makes the choice, okay, well, I've got to do this. And Frodo has a ton of development that takes place. I mean, he still makes mistakes. It's not that he made the decision and now he's perfect at it, and nobody else could have done it because he's perfect. He makes a ton of terrible mistakes, and he develops, but he develops through taking on this responsibility, and other characters coming alongside him who also take on responsibility. None of the characters are like, I've always wanted to go walk somebody to Mordor and protect them. Like, that's what I've wanted to do. It's a bunch of people being brave. It's his friends who really have nothing to add being brave, right? And Merry and Pippin and Sam, who feels an obligation to take care of him. And it's Gandalf and these other people of different factions saying, I want to step up and also be brave and walk alongside you. And there's tons of development that takes place amongst these characters, and them having to figure out things. And even some of it is figured out on their own, right? It's personal development. Like, that's fine. But it's done under the guise of, there is this bigger thing that you have to do. Like, the movie, Frodo would have been a bad character if he had gotten that and said, no, this isn't my responsibility, and handed the ring off and then just lived a lifestyle. Because I think the modern movie would look at that and say, hey, nobody can tell you what to do. Give that ring back. Like, give that ring back, because honestly, like, you've earned this lifestyle, and it's not your fault that somebody that's so. But it's like, no, regardless of how it happens, it's like Gandalf has so many lines where he's just like you wish the ring had never come to you. You wish none of this had ever happened. He's like, well, so do all who live to see what these times. But that's not for them to decide. For what you have to decide is what to do with the time that's given to you. And so he's like, you're in this situation, and you have to decide what you're going to do with it. And you can mope about it, and you can deny your responsibility, or you can step up and take part in this journey. And that's what we enjoy watching. We enjoy watching it because most of the time we don't get the opportunity to be brave, or when we do, we say no to it. So it's really enjoyable to watch other people do it because it's inspiring to us.
And also, like, personal development has to happen. That's part of a character arc, right? The character has to change and grow, and usually it's in response to external stimuli, right? You find the bravery to overcome your cowardice or things like that. I think villain redemption arcs can be especially compelling when you see a villain, changing their ways. It can be done really well. It can be done really bad. So the really bad is the Fast and Furious, where it's like, I was a bad guy in this movie, but now you're family. That's bad. But when it's like you see the villain like grow and change and try to redeem themselves because they understand what they were doing was wrong, that's good. But the thing is, Hollywood has mistaken personal development from, hey, this is a broken part about me. I need to work through this. I need to find a way to overcome this. I need to find a way to be better than my own shortcomings, and has changed it to, you just need to believe in yourself more, because everything you need is, you already have everything you need. You just need to self-actualize, or self-realize everything, right? If Frodo was, I think here's modern day Frodo. Gandalf, I can do it. I just need to believe. See, I can use the ring now. Sauron's not so bad. I'm not going to pass the ring of the fire. Look at all the good things we can do. We can liberate all these oppressed peoples, and I can do it because I believe in myself. And then Sam's like, Master Frodo, you can't do it. Like, no, Sam, you're just trying to oppress me with your patriarchy, with your white patriarchy. I can do this. Also, I'm a woman now. That's modern day Frodo.
Frodo is a woman.
Yeah. He was always a woman. She was always a woman. But exactly, it's all, again, it's all self-focused, like internalizing, saying, I just need to free myself from the shackles that are holding me back.
Yeah,
I already have everything I need. Whereas real character development, and again, good character development doesn't necessarily mean the brokenness gets fixed.
Right.
It doesn't mean that wound gets healed. But what it does mean is that character overcomes that obstacle and is able to make decisions that they weren't able to make previously. That they're able to make sacrifices that they wouldn't have made previously. Right. When we get to Mulan, I think Mulan does a fantastic job with this. But we see this in Lion King.
Yeah, it's connected to the Lion King.
Where Simba is a selfish brat, right? Yeah. He's a punk, he's a brat, and he ends up going to this place. And again, the Timon and Pumbaa thing is like pure escapism. He's just saying, I can just do what I want. I don't have to worry about the responsibilities. I can just be me, right? I can just do whatever I want. But he feels the burden of responsibility, and he chooses to, despite all his shortcomings, say, even though I don't know if I'm up to this task, I'm still going to do it because it's the right thing to do. That's his character growth. And then and his friends support him and say, we believe you can do this, right? It's not you believing you can do it. It's your friends saying, we believe you can do this, and we're going to support you and help you to do this. That's the good character development. It's Timon and Pumbaa say, hey, we were super selfish too, but we formed a bond with you, and we're willing to sacrifice our livelihood and possibly our lives. And they even they show up, and the Pride Lands is just ruined. Right. And someone says, "Sheesh, talk about you fixer-uppers." Right. He's like, this place is a crap hole. Like, you really want to save this, but because we're with you, and this is important to you, we're going to support you, even though we don't stand to gain anything from this. We stand to lose our lives. Right. We don't stand. So Timon and Pumbaa show a lot of courage there. So they get character growth too. So that's character growth, is they're able to overcome obstacles that they were not previously able to overcome, right? By either coming to a realization, and usually, again, it's always got to be this external push. It's Rafiki pushing Simba to realize who he is, and it's Simba realizing who he is that pushes Timon and Pumbaa to be less selfish, right? And Nala's also comes in and says, "Hey, we still really need you." So it's an external stimulus, not an internal stimulus, and that's where Hollywood gets it all wrong, because the internal stimulus is always going to be self-focused of, well, I just need to be better. Like, I just need to do better, Senator. But that never works, right? You need an external stimulus. You need people supporting you. You need relationship to help you move beyond yourself. And I think Lion King does an excellent job doing that. And again, the live action doesn't ruin that story point.
I would say it's why the original is good, and the live action doesn't diminish that too much. I would say the problems are elsewhere. But what about you, Liam? What are your thoughts on all that? You've been quiet for a bit here.
I mean, I think you guys are just so eloquent, and
this is really changing.
Possibly.
Remember when we were fighting
I couldn't possibly try to do my own monologue of 10 minutes of personal development.
Feed off of this.
I'm just happy to just be around you two, really, at the end of the day. You guys are making me better people.
Right. It's external,
right?
Like,
stimuli.
you realize.
Yeah. Why do you think I keep hanging around you guys?
You know what? I even
getting
being prepared was all right.
And you guys are okay people too, I guess. But
you guys are all right.
Mostly just how it makes me feel.
No, I would agree. I think just trying to get to our few wrapping up points here about just the overall story. It obviously had good source content to draw from with Hamlet, and arguably a complete
rip-off of Kimba.
But the overall story,
they changed one whole letter in his
they
name,
weren't even
and in the original, he's like a albino lion. He's just a regular lion in this one. So I don't see what the problem
effort
is.
was extreme in
Totally
changing
different
it.
concept here.
but-
What are we
but
talking
all-
about? guys?
all that-
they copy pasted and they changed a couple of words.
All of that aside, yeah, the story I think is incredible for a lot of those reasons that we've been kind of digging into here in the last few minutes of the show, which are just the personal responsibility aspects of it. And I mean, and you see.
I really thought it was inspiring when Jordan Peterson showed up and was like, "You need to clean your room," and then Sim was like, "Oh, I got it now, guys."
JP.
Anyways,
You think it's all sunshine and roses,
You
sunny,
guys
but
want
it's not.
you guys want a couple tidbits of half-assed research?
Yeah, give me the research.
yes,
give me the
I need to
research.
find a half-ass research button, like a sound bite for you. But yeah,
What is what is the sound
wait,
of
hold on,
a half
hold
an
on,
ass?
Hold on, I got one.
Fire away.
What's the sound of half an
Highest
ass?
grossing hand-drawn animation of all time.
It is
Does
a
it shock
low-budget
you?
movie.
Does it shock you?
No, not at all. I'm not surprised.
Okay.
It's really gorgeous.
Scar ate Mufasa's carcass.
Yeah, well, okay, so that is a theory. I will say that
I have
that's
it here as
that's-
a what's the it's a
fact?
theory, and then it's what?
A confirmed theory?
Yeah, I have it here as a confirmed theory.
It is pretty compelling when you look at the details about that.
Is that the rib cage in
It's the
that
rib,
Zazu's
the
in?
rib cage,
That's
and then
really dark if that's
he's
the case.
using the mouth to talk. I've got a
A
lovely bunch of like that
coconuts,
scene.
diddly-dee.
It is very heavily implied that is Mufasa, which is
That's
which
really
is pretty
dark.
and
Yeah, how brutal is that?
Yeah.
And this was my favorite one. The hyenas were going to be voiced by Cheech and Chong.
You just said this. The hyenas are just like,
They're just high.
oh yeah, we're gonna kill Mufasa. It's gonna be great.
They wouldn't be. It wouldn't work though, because they would not be motivated to any degree. If they were
I thought
Cheech
Whoopi
and
Goldberg
Chong.
did a great job. Who did the other
she did.
voices?
I actually did think
In the original, I'm
one
not
of
sure.
one of them
Who
was
did-
just
who did-
laughing
yeah,
hysterically.
Ed just laughed.
so,
Who did not Bonsai? Who did Bonsai? He did a great job.
No Ed in this one, which was interesting.
Yeah,
I guess
no
Eric
Ed.
Andre was supposed to be
Eric
Ed.
Andre was Ed.
I guess that would make the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's the question. Who did
Bonzi?
Bonzi?
Bonsai.
Bonsai. Bonsai.
Bonsai,
Who
whatever.
did that?
Oh, it was. It was.
It was
Cheech.
Cheech Marin. There you go.
Matea, I just read right now. Matea said, "Well, Cheech was there." So.
Okay, so Chong,
Chong just
was
got-
also supposed to be there.
Well, maybe Chong was Ed.
He literally
He just did
could
the
have
last
been.
for Ed.
He basically could have
It
been.
might have been. It might have
Yeah.
actually been
This is
Cheech
why
and
it's
Chong.
half-assed research because it could have just been.
Oh, this
What is
is
the sound of half an ass clapping?
this is
That's what we
the
need to
other
know.
one, but we've talked about this one. Is who played Scar?
Jeremy Irons.
Lost his voice.
Yep.
In the middle
And
of
Be Prepared.
Of Be Prepared.
And- and-
get a sniff
Thank God. If I say
I
so
will
myself.
flip the table. I will flip the table on you.
Thank God he lost his voice. Am I right, guys? Am I right, folks?
Oh my god! I'd
well,
slap you.
That's my-
Disrespecting. Unbelievable.
No.
Just absolute.
No.
No.
Okay.
Bad.
Saboteur.
Bad. Take that off the soundboard.
Yeah.
That
that's
I actually didn't
immature.
even make any sounds. That was just Liam's mic coming through.
That was the mic feeding back. That's what I got for half-ass research. But yeah. Good stuff.
So
I will say that whoever they got to finish the song, I couldn't tell.
that was impressive.
I could not tell.
When we listened for it.
It was Billy Eichner.
Stop it! No, it wasn't. So prepare for the cooler
That
century.
button's gonna break. All right. So last thoughts on it. Yes, I think the combination of the fact because I think all of these Disney movies, the songs play a big role in it. If all the songs fall flat on their face and you're not singing along with it, it's not as enjoyable to watch. So the music is great. The score in between the songs is great. You following through with Simba, you being him in the excitement of this new world that you're going to get to rule it is there. It's fun. It's exciting until it's not. And when it's not, and he has to learn that lesson before his dad dies, you're with Zazu. And he's like, now come with me, Simba.
Good luck. Good luck. Also, can we appreciate Mr. Bean? It's just killing
Mr.
it.
Bean
Mr.
killed
Bean.
it. I mean, the voice
John
acting's
Oliver didn't do
incredible.
terrible, but Mr. Bean is
Yeah,
so
he's
much
fine.
better. Just
Yeah.
quality.
And so obviously like you live through Simba and it's an amazing story. I mean, like you get to see that responsibility grow in him. It's scary, it's different, but like you're inspired by his decision to come back. The music portrays that really well. The characters are fun, funny, and enjoyable. They're charming at the times they need to be charming. Scar is menacing and kind of a scoundrel the whole movie, and it's great. I will say they did a good job to make him somewhat of a threat, even though he's kind of showed himself that he's like a physical threat. Like he's really schemy. Like that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes the story amazing. And I think that overall our opinion is just that the new one is a little unnecessary.
It's useless.
Unnecessary.
Not a little unnecessary. It is 100% unequivocally a completely unnecessary movie. There is nothing you will get out of it other than sorrow.
It is not only not a live action because it is also animated.
It's also 100%
but
animated.
The animation doesn't look as good as the original, and
bad.
also
The song's bad.
Also, the songs are all worse, and then they didn't add anything worth
And the
worth
voice acting's
value of any
atrocious.
kind. So it is.
it just has no right to exist. But so here's a little science fact. I need a science hat. I don't know what that would be. Scientists don't wear hats, generally speaking. That's not really. It's kind of frowned upon in labs. Okay, so he lives with Timon and Pumbaa, only eating bugs, and grows into this massive lion. Lions eat around. They can eat like up to 45 kilograms per day. Okay, let me put this into pounds so you guys understand. Lions can eat up to like 100 pounds of food a day, but generally they're eating like 20 to 30. Do you know how many bugs you need to get 20 to 30 pounds of bugs? A lot
More
of bugs.
than
That's a
exists,
lot of bugs.
probably. in
They
that-
had to find so many bugs for him to actually grow into a full, not malnourished lion. I need my tin. We need a tinfoil hat. Here's my conspiracy. He would just like sneak off from Timon and Pumbaa and just go get like a real meal.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you cheat, when you're like, oh yes. You go over to a friend's house.
No
and
carbs.
You ever go to a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good?
Did fish have souls?
Never.
There's a question. Wait, maybe he just ate fish.
Because the macaroni is mushy, the peas are mushed, and the
are-
chicken tastes like wood.
Are they depicted at all in The
No.
Lion King? There's no aquatic
there's
animals.
no aquatic
No,
animals.
we don't see any.
So they're good to go. They can eat them.
I don't
Maybe-
think so.
maybe
Yeah,
he ate
maybe
fish.
he just ate some fish. Yeah, he could eat fish. Lions can eat fish. I'm pretty sure.
Grub is pretty vague.
Yeah.
So
Grub
I
is
mean,
vague.
they're clearly eating insects, which pound for pound will give you the protein you need. I
Yeah.
don't know if lions can actually subsist on that, but the point is, a full-grown lion eats a lot of food a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Either a lot of bugs or he was cheating.
he's
I
definitely
will.
cheating.
I will say there was one funny part that Pumbaa in the live action, quote unquote,
When he farts.
No, when he walks up
terrible.
and Zazu is there, and he's like, "Oh, Timon, look, a bird." It's like, I don't know why. I thought that was kind of funny. Like he's just like he's walking up and he's tiptoeing with his little tiny hooves, and he's like, "Oh, a bird." Like Zazu's just talking, and he's like, I thought that was kind of funny, and that was the only time that I was like, "Wow, I actually laughed." Like I should at least call attention to that.
Oh, did I mention I did mention his little conga line of animals that also came in with
Yes,
the
yes,
Wimbo app,
yeah.
and then just vanished from the movie. That was very weird.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my opinion in a nutshell. Watch the original. Don't watch the remake.
Number one, we got to get our rankings board.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah,
number
so
one
we'll,
would be
we'll give the
Lion King
breakdown.
original.
I think of the ones we've watched, Lion King was
Yeah.
top for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
we are
probably
going
go-
to eventually.
Right now, I probably go Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and then Little Mermaid for animated, and then honestly, I think I flipped those for live action.
I think I might have the same order.
Even though it's weird too, because
we don't need to get too far into rankings. We're
right,
already,
but,
we're
but,
already
but the weird thing
over
is
our
that the
time
thing
limit
that's
here on the
bothering me
show.
about it is the live action Little Mermaid changed the plot in the worst possible way. The other two don't change the plot in a meaningful way.
Right.
This one, Little Action Mermaid, changed the
Little
ending in a
Action
way
Figure
that
Mermaid.
ruins the original movie. But I still enjoyed that movie more, and maybe it's because all the songs were still really well done.
The songs were actually really good. So just to give you guys a heads up in the future.
Oh yeah, it's your pick. What are we doing
What's
next?
next?
Yes. What will we do next?
I know what you're
it's-
gonna pick. It's pretty obvious.
You know what we're gonna pick?
you pick a lad.
Aladdin.
I'm not picking
Uh-oh.
Aladdin.
Oh,
Bambi, Lady and the Tramp?
boo.
No. You
That
guys haven't
Jungle
said it
Book.
yet. You haven't said it yet.
Let's see, Jungle Book, Mulan, Aladdin. What else do we have?
Aristocats.
Is there a live? There's no live action Aristocats.
There will be.
Shoot, what am I missing? Beauty and the Beast,
Sleeping
Sleeping
Beauty.
Beauty.
Was there a Sleeping Beauty?
There's
Snow
Maleficent, but
White?
we're not
There's no
counting
Snow
that.
White.
No, so Maleficent is more like a
Maleficent
spin-off, so we're
doesn't
not
count.
counting that.
All right. Well, we don't have a ton of time. It's gonna be Pinocchio.
Oh,
Oh.
Wait.
I
sorry,
honestly can't
sorry,
remember.
Peter Pan.
Oh, okay.
What?
Those are
Man.
different movies, but they both have live
I
actions.
honestly don't know
Do you
why I
remember
just
how
said
I pulled
Pinocchio.
the rug out
Wendy?
from
I
Yes.
don't want to watch it.
Yes.
Well, it's gonna be not fun. I'm not looking forward to that.
Okay, yeah,
Thanks,
Peter Pan.
Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
So
Thanks,
we are,
Greg.
we are going to be watching Peter Pan next week. Next week. In 2 weeks, we'll
2
be
weeks.
doing Peter Pan. The following show won't be a live show. It'll be pre-recorded, but we are going to talk about Oppenheimer. Big excited for that one. And if you guys would like to
we've got our IMAX tickets for that.
if you
already.
guys would like to get in contact with us, you can via you can find us on Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. And Nathaniel, why don't you say these things?
So we're on Spotify.
There you go.
We've got the YouTube channel that you are currently on. Obviously, you can subscribe, leave comments, whatever. You can email us, dearlydebated@gmail.com. We also, Greg and I run a different channel, The Kitchen Chemist, which is our cooking show. It's coming back in probably mid-August or early September. Season 2 is launching, and we got really, really fun things. Really fun things in store. So we're about to start filming season 2, so that's gonna be fun.
Yep.
But yeah, we've also got the non-video version, which we'll have another episode coming out this week, which I think is the Terminator episode, where we talked about all the Terminator movies. And of course, we do have the Ghostbusters episode that'll come out at some point.
Let's go.
Where we talk about all the Ghostbusters movies. Liam's on that one.
Let's go.
And of course, we talk about the greatest movie of all time, Ghostbusters 2016.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. The Goat Busters.
The Goat to Busters.
So we'll eventually get around to a rankings episode once we wrap
Yeah, once
up
we
our
wrap up,
Disney
which,
series. We will go through a rankings of all of the Disney movies and remakes.
From our count for the remakes, it's like 11 of them.
Yeah, so it's not going to be like old movies like Hook or things like that. If you guys are thinking for Peter Pan,
Yeah, it's the direct nostalgia milking ones that have just come out, starting with
ever since
Jungle Book,
Beauty
Beauty and the Beast,
and Beauty
Lion
and the Beast,
King,
whichever one
Mulan.
came out first.
I
They
think it was
started doing
Jungle Book.
pumping out the Disney remakes. Once they started doing these shot-for-shot remakes, it's those that we're comparing
those
to
ones.
the original. So that's the one we're going to
So
be
no
watching.
Maleficent. Maleficent doesn't count. I think
Right.
there have been some Snow White and the Huntsman. Those don't count.
So if you guys for next week want to join in, watch Peter Pan, the original. Watch Peter Pan,
Wendy.
the live action remake.
The live
It's
action is called Peter Pan and Wendy.
Come with your thoughts. Interact with us. We'd love to talk to you guys. And if you guys have ideas for things we should talk about on other shows, how can they get in contact with us?
Again, you can email us, dearlydebated@gmail.com. We also are on Twitter, @dearlydebated. You can tweet at us. Those are the two biggest ways. And then, of course, leave comments on the YouTube channel.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, until next time, we have been the Dearly Debated. This is the 4-Dimensional Podcast. Signing off.
Yum bum away.